like 20, 30 seconds prayerfully. Prayerfully, that's all I need. Okay, all right. We'll just go ahead and go with what we got. Thank you, everybody, for being on. Appreciate you. Let's go ahead and get started. Missing equipment, but it is what it is. We got enough to at least do something. Okay. Let's see. Where am I going? All right. May the words of my mouth and the meditation of mine heart be acceptable in Yahweh's sight. He is our strength and our redeemer, and it is in his name, which is his authority, that we pray, praise, proclaim, project, and protect today's message. Aman. Hola, mi nombre es Kofi. ¿Cómo está? Bonjour, je m'appelle Kofi. Ça va? Ni hao. Namaste. Osai Enekatiguya. Ahayo. I see you. Kamsa. Kamsamida. Manut. Wagwan. Aloha. Akwaba. Madaasi. Itesen. Habarigane. Jambo. Mimini Kofi. Dina Franco Katana Wewe. Boker Tov. Boker Tav. Grand Rising, Bakwatav, Barakalat Shamyahava, Anai Kwavai, Halat at Servants of Christ, Mashalam Chi. Hello, everybody. I am Pastor Kofi, Pastor Servants of Christ, where we are always changing lives one mind at a time by being the voice of the voiceless and speaking the unspoken. Thank you for joining us on today. We appreciate your presence so very much, and we honor you. We honor you. Thank you so much for spending some time with us. If it's your first time, if it's one time of many, whatever the case might be, we're thankful and grateful, and we hope that you guys can stick around. Today is Q&A day. I did not do a very great work at promoting it. However, today is Q&A day, and prayerfully you guys will be able to ask some questions, get your questions, comments, and concerns out there. I am a little limited as far as what we normally would have. So as far as many platforms as we normally would do Q&A on, I will not be able to set that up for today. I'm not sure what is going on. I think maybe young Master Solomon might have came in and gotten some things that he felt he needed at the time and not returned some things. That's my best guess. I don't know. But either way, it's all gravy. Hopefully you guys are ready for a great word. We give our honor and praise to the Most High. We give our praise and honor to him for my wife, the Honorable Amma, who lives a life that's able to be honored. As always, you can check her out on TikTok, YouTube, her website, and Pinterest at Bloom and Flourish, not A-N-D, the letter N, Bloom and Flourish. She is a healer, herbalist, chemist, and biologist by degree. Even though we'll be doing Q&A today, we will read our scripture that we've been using for the series. So if you'd like to go ahead and turn there with us, you can do so at this moment. If you would like to be in agreement with us, and if you're able to stand and read or reverence the word of Yahweh with us, or if you can reverence in whatever way that you are able, we would appreciate you doing so. We're going to go to Barashat Chit Kaf, or we shall begin at Genesis chapter 8 and verse 20. While we're turning there, and hello to everybody on the podcast, everybody who will join us later on Facebook, everybody who's joining us on YouTube, everybody that's joining us on TikTok. We appreciate your presence. While we're turning there, let's say hello to everybody real quick. How you doing, Brother TJ, Sister Monica, Beck, Shanghai Larry, Raj, Beloved Oath Promise, Craig, Little Bit, Joy, Vanessa Bertram, and happy belated born day again. Yam Yasalav to Sister Jessica. Yam Yasalav to all the July born days. Yam Yasalav to my little cousin, actually. Yam Yasalav to brother. Oh no, I'm about to say the wrong name. Well, Yam Yasalav to Minister Moselle, but Yam Yasalav to brother. He was right at the beginning of the month. I see his face, Brother Cole in Jersey. Amen. Also, too, if you get a chance, check out Brother Cole's album. He's trying to use his gift and all the proceeds he's trying to give back to the community. So check that out if you guys get a chance to as well. Don't forget that that's out. If you're on Facebook, it's already been put out a few times. I'll try to see if I can put it out on other platforms as well. How you doing? I'm Bruda. How you doing, Bruda? How you doing, Sister Deborah? Everybody, Brother Charles, we appreciate you. Alrighty, Big Brother Thomas, Brother Ali. If I miss your name on any of these platforms, charge it to my head, not to my heart. Appreciate you all. How you doing, Sister Knight, Minister Stephen, Brother Charles, Double OG, Triple OG. How you doing, Michael Bennett? All right, and I think that's just about everybody. If I miss your name once again, please forgive me. We're going to Barashat Chit at Kaf, or Genesis chapter 8, verse 20. Once you have it, say amen. Tell God to say I'm with you. And if you would like to, and I'm sorry, beloved, those promise, hello. And if you would like to stand to your feet, if you're able, or reverence the word in whatever kind of way you can. Shalom to everybody. Peace on this first day of the week. We appreciate you so very much. And we're excited to continue to wear the ways of Yahweh. So we still have Shabbat, basically being Friday evening to Saturday, so matching the world, kind of, sort of. So Shalom means that as of 6 p.m. last night, or sundown last night, whichever you choose to go by, it was the beginning of our week. So Shalom, happy first day of the week, which actually aligns with a lot of our normal days of the week. All right, once again, we're going to Barashat Chit at Kaf, which is Genesis chapter 8 and verse 20. All righty. And this is Q&A today, once again. So you guys are going to take this wherever you want. If you have questions about what we've been going over, if you just have questions in general, whatever the case might be, today is the day. If you got questions on political stances, I know we got a lot of political stances and some persons that are upset with me because I have not decided that we're just going to vote for Kamala, or that I'm going to put my force behind Kamala or try to get a bunch of votes for Kamala Harris. I know some of SOC is frustrated with me that I would dare tell them that voting is not going to necessarily help us if it hasn't helped us so far, but it is what it is. How you doing, Cultural Prospect? But if you have questions on that, whatever, just know we're coming from cultural perspective. All right, I'll explain that more in a little bit. Let's just go ahead. All right, this is our Bible pledge. This is my Bible. This is my sword, and this will I trust. For Yahashua is Lord. No sword of God shall ever be heard, for this is my Bible, and this is Yah's word. Hashem Yahweh, Amen. In Yahweh's name, amen. All right, Genesis chapter 8, we're going to start at verse 20. It reads as follows. It says, and Noah builded an altar unto Yahweh, and took of every clean beast, and of every clean fowl, and offered burnt offerings on the altar. And Yahweh smelled a sweet savor. And Yahweh said in his heart, I will not again curse the ground anymore for man's sake, for the imagination of man's heart is evil from his youth. Neither will I again smite any more everything living as I have done. While the earth remaineth, seed time and harvest, and cold, and heat, and summer, and winter, and day, and night shall not cease. Now over to Genesis chapter 9, we're going to start at verse 12. And verse 12 reads as follows. And Elohim said, this is the token, the oath. This is the token of the bara'at, of the covenant, which I make between me and you and every living creature that is with you for perpetual generations. I do set my shat at avanavan. I do set my bow in the cloud. All right, I do set my bow in the cloud, and it shall be for a for a token of a covenant between me and the earth. And it shall come to pass when I bring a cloud over the earth that the bow shall be seen in the cloud, and I will remember my covenant, which is between me and you and every living creature of all flesh, and the waters shall no more become a flood to destroy all flesh. And the bow shall be in the cloud, and I will look upon that I may remember the everlasting covenant between Elohim and every living creature of all flesh that is upon the earth. And Elohim said unto Noah, this is the token of the covenant which I have established between me and all flesh that is upon the earth. We just read Genesis chapter 8, verses 20 through 22, and Genesis chapter 9, verses 12 through 17. May Yahweh have a blessing to the readers, hearers, and especially the doers of his most holy scrolls, that were all breathed or given by inspiration from him. May you all may be seated or go back to what you were doing in the presence of the Most High Yah. All right, so today's Q&A. So whatever questions, comments, or concerns that you may have, feel free to go ahead and ask away. Any questions, comments, concerns, doesn't have to just be about the teachings per se or anything. Obviously, we're not talking about SOC business. However, anything that has to do with scripture, has to do with just worldly stuff, I'll do my best. I don't know the answers to everything. And also, once again, recall this is going to be coming from a cultural perspective, from a kingdom perspective. If this might make you upset, frustrated, I'm not going to give you my opinion. I'm going to have to give you what the word says. And if you have a problem with what the word says, then you're just going to have a problem with what the word says. Amen. How you doing? I have a shalom. How you doing, Pinky? How you doing, Brother Jermaine? I think I said hello, Brother Craig. All righty. So any questions? Anybody have any questions? Any place? Let's go. Any questions you guys may have? Today is your day. Feel free to go ahead and ask away. How you doing, Minister Shante? Excellent message again yesterday. Any questions, comments, or concerns? How you doing, Sister Shima? Any questions, comments, or concerns? I mean, I could just start talking about certain ones if nobody has one to start off with. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Today is Q&A day, so wherever you guys want to take it, I am ready to go where you guys want to go. No questions, comments, or concerns? Okay, I guess I'll go ahead and start. And if anybody has a question, I guess we'll go ahead and go from there. You said when you wake up. Okay, how you doing, Shoe Queen? So, oh, okay. Thank you. Reminder. Thank you for the reminder. So that's from yesterday. See, appreciate you. You said Sabbath. I don't know. Sabbath. What is Sabbath? Sabbath in general? Should we do the Sabbath? Are there scriptures on the Sabbath? Sabbath is something to where I could talk about it for weeks and weeks and weeks. So I don't know if you have something you can help me to be more specific in that, and maybe we can come back to it. Yeah. So somebody did ask yesterday. Not sure if that person is on with us right now or if they'll come on at a later time. But the question was asked, what do we think about Islam? And I said yesterday, Ishmael is my brother. And I said, so therefore I'm going to be always careful not to just do this whole thing that we normally are taught, which is to just attack, and never have any comprehension, no empathy, no sympathy, no etymology, etc. Right. And actually see what's going on. Because Ishmael is a little different, right? Because we kind of treat Ishmael like it's Esau. And even Esau, we should probably be a little more leery of some of the things that we're saying and things and some of the ways we're judging and some of the scripture that we're using and not being obedient to certain things ourselves. But we should be careful because we'll kind of treat Ishmael like Ishmael is Esau. And they're not so, right? Ishmael, if you want to even get technical to a certain degree, Ishmael didn't even want to be here. Now I'm going to be careful because like we can talk about the Bible and Christianity versus followers of the way, we also have to talk about the Quran, and there's so-called Arabic persons and actual Ishmaelites. Okay. So when I say Ishmael, I'm not talking like what everybody else is, because what a lot of persons think is when I say Ishmael, I mean Muslim. Now, the person asked about being a Muslim, I have to mention Ishmael because that's kind of sort of where this debate and everything comes from, at least in the minds of many. Right. But the reality is that Ishmael was not born a Muslim or a Muslim, correct? We got to start in the correct place. So if somebody asked me about being Ishmael or being Muslim, and then tries to put it with being Ishmael, that's not always 100%. That's not always a great way of looking through the prism, or a great prism to look through. Because Ishmael was born into being what? Born into being Avra, or Hebrew. And his father, Abraham, was a follower of Elohim. Allahim, even where you get the word Allah from. It's short for Allahim, right? But Ishmael was somebody who was dismissed not by Abraham and not even by the Most High. He was dismissed, right? Well, I guess technically you could say he was dismissed by Abram or Abraham, but Abraham only dismissed him because his wife wanted him gone. The same wife who had suggested, and we're not going to act like Abraham didn't lay down with Hagar either, but I'm just saying it was the same wife, right? If we look at it correctly, it's the same wife that lays down that Sarah that said, "Well, I don't believe in the promise, and so I'm not going to enter into covenant like I'm supposed to, right? I'm going to go ahead and let you enter into covenant with another woman." And Abraham agrees. They have this baby Ishmael, and now Hagar is sitting pretty, and Sarah is threatened, and so Sarah is the one that asked for Ishmael to be kicked out, right? Abraham prays to the Most High. He says to the Most High, "I don't want my child to just leave." How you doing, child of the undefiled? But the Most High says, "What? Your wife comes before your child. Your wife, even that covenant sometimes comes before certain things that I would like. But you both got outside of what it is that I would like." Right? And he says, so because you both got outside of it, it's causing problems. But he says, don't worry, if you release Ishmael, right, out into the wilderness, he said, I'll take care of him. Certain blessings will be upon him simply because he's connected to you. How you doing, Fiverr? So Islam was brought to the Arabs through Abraham and Ishmael. A Muslim follows the same rules and lineage. Well, okay. Amen. Well, fine. Let's say what we think about what a Muslim is and what's presented to many as what a Muslim is, and what some so-called Muslims present as what a Muslim is not necessarily what Ishmael is, right? Let's say it like that, then, if that's right. So because we get the difference. I get what you're saying, right? So Ishmael was not first Muslim or Muslim, right? He first was under what Abraham was under, right? And if he follows Allah, Allah is actually not, and I'm not just saying this randomly, you can look up etymology. You can look up before there was a such thing as a Arabic language, because remember, Arabic just simply used to mean nomadic. So it depends on how we're using these words, right? But if you have an Arabic person that was a nomadic person, technically, therefore, you could say Israelites were Arabic, because what were we? We were nomadic for a really long time, right? We were nomadic, really, even with being in having a certain place we lived under Jacob, who became Israel. We were still kind of technically nomadic up until Kemetic slavery, and then after we got from there, we were still nomadic for 40 years. And then once we got a place, the land flowing with milk and honey, we were still nomadic as we took over the land of Canaan. And then after that, you will see Israelites that scattered even before certain wars or enslavement, or eventually when Yehoshaphat has his life or gives up the ghost on the tithe, and then and 70 AC, not a stone left upon a stone. So we're, as a people, to be honest, even though we are a nation and when we have one spot, we kind of always been nomadic. But Arabic has become something that now we just think of only a group of persons or persons under one belief system, which really is not even true. But that's kind of how the West looks at it. If you're Arabic, you almost think Muslim automatic, which is not necessarily the case even by modern standards. But an Arabic person in its original form, or in their, original form, is a nomadic person. Right. So there are many Muslims, including persons that are part of SOC, that if you were to ask them, and I say that again, some persons are what? Yeah, including some persons that are SOC who would still call themselves Muslim more so than, well, I wouldn't say more so. They would say that they're grafted into Israel. They probably would say it like that, right? But would tell you that they have no problem with a lot of the canon called the Quran, because a lot of us don't even know that the Quran is supposed to have other things you're supposed to study before you can really get the context of it. Just like for us, there's got to be culture before you get the context of it. And they'll argue that a lot of stuff that you hear about Allah, or a lot of stuff you hear about Muhammad, or a lot of stuff you will hear about, et cetera, et cetera. Matter of fact, we don't even look at stuff like Mansa Musa and his brother is a witness, somebody who was with Muhammad, right? So Mansa Musa, if you're looking at a lot of stuff that he did and he believed, and how he moved and how he operated and how rich he was and how he traveled and how he scattered, a lot of persons don't realize Mansa Musa, which is the word for Musa, is actually talking about Moses. That's their word for Moses. So he's using technically it's a dialect, but he's using an Israelite term to be able to say who he is. And he himself is a believer in certain things that we don't even think about, right? So there's a lot of different things that I think you have to go deeper in. That being said, I would say the same thing about any Muslim that I would say about any Christian, that I would say about any Jew, that I would say about any Avra or Paleo Hebrew person or Hebrew Israelite or Black Hebrew Israelite, without going extremely in depth to the point to where we can't answer any questions, because that's a long, long thing to go through. I would say this, that it still comes back to, do you follow the word, right? The word is the standard. Like at the end of the day, we can go around the bush, we can go through all this stuff. Do you follow the standard, right? Does your canon follow the standard? And if it doesn't, I'm going to point out where your canon doesn't follow the standard. As a matter of fact, in your own standard, do you follow what it says? And I think a lot of persons, if they actually read some of the stuff that Muslims are supposed to follow, you would say that, oh, you guys are supposed to, because the Quran has no problem telling you that Christ. Now, this is one thing I'll be honest with you, there's obviously a little bit of iffiness in this, and maybe it's a translation thing or whatever, or maybe it's persons who've changed it. I don't know. The Quran seems to be pretty decent at not having been changed. That being said, the Quran has no problem saying that Christ was preaching and that he was performing miracles. Matter of fact, his first miracle in the Quran supposedly is that he spoke as a little child. Now, I think, to be honest with you, I feel like that has more stuff to do with the first, there's two versions of the Book of Thomas. One of them is kind of, you got to be careful about, but it kind of sounds a little Book of Thomasish. I don't know, making up words, Thomasish. There you go. But at the end of the day, still, it seems to have no problem saying that he is, in fact, somebody who's worthy. Now, it does say that, once he got up to heaven, Allah, and once again, you have to read other books to get the context. Well, yeah, I'm not going to go that way, because we'll be here all day, because then that's going to have me have to spend like 25 minutes explaining that. Basically, long story short, I would come back to the same thing, right? Every person that you hear say Muslim does not believe. There are many Muslims that believe in the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. There are many Muslims or many Arabs or many Arabic persons who know that Allah is short for Allahim. There are many of them who believe that Christ is the Messiah. There are many of them that believe what we believe, but might do so under, under a Muslim garb. And I'm just going to leave it there for now. Doesn't mean that I agree with every single thing that every Muslim believes. No. But Islam is my brother. And when you come from that perspective, you'll find a lot more stuff in there. So the question that was asked yesterday about how do I feel about Islam, I don't necessarily feel, well, I can say I feel a certain way, but I'm trying to go by my feelings. I'm going by contextual facts. I'm not going to give you an opinion. I'm going to give you a fact. And there's a lot of persons in Islam who have no problem with anything that we preach, right? I don't know if it's a majority, probably not, but guess what? A majority of so-called Hebrew Israelites and a majority of Christians don't believe what we believe. So, but there's a lot of persons, believe it or not, who even listen to us, have honored us with their presence and their gifts, have done their best to teach certain things, and even have supported and protected myself and my family that, have not a problem with one thing that we say. Right? Have not a problem. And if you look up the 5 prayers that they pray, not one of those prayers is Antichrist or is this and that or whatever. I think sometimes we go through a thing, but yeah, so I could try to go a lot deeper, maybe another time. There's some stuff I probably would want to even have, which I don't have up for you guys, that I would want to even like read from and maybe show pictures of and do some stuff like that, or at least print out some stuff and show you. But until we do that, it's kind of something to where I know it's going to sound like anything else that I do for many, it's probably going to stunt your growth a little bit, or it's going to get you to look sideways, or it's going to even get you to think that I'm like going into a lot of weird stuff that's even in your Bible. Like, for example, a lot of Muslims have no problem with a lot of stuff that's in the book of Jasher. But if I were to tell you that Muslims have no problem with it or whatever, some of you who might not have read the book of Jasher, you guys would look at me strange, not realizing that actually some of the stuff they're telling you is right in your canon, but you don't believe Jasher. Some of us do not believe Jasher to be our canon, so therefore it becomes difficult. for us to be able to study, research, go through, etc. So I'll leave that there for now, since the question was more so, what do I feel about it? And I didn't want to I can't really give an opinion on how I feel, because how I feel doesn't really have too much merit in the long run. How you doing, Brother Dwayne? But I will tell you that there's a lot of stuff that if you were to actually study, and I know, look, we're not necessarily commanded to study another canon. However, I'll say if you were to even anything, for me, I put it like this: anything that you're going to put your mouth on, anything that you're going to speak on, you should at least know something about. You should at least have read something about it. You should at least know the context of it. And even like if I meet a Muslim, if the Muslim says you must pray 5 times a day, and they don't pray 5 times a day, I might ask them about that. See, that's something even in their canon, even if I don't come off mine. Or certain things like you guys see me, I pour water in my hands before I start speaking and washing stuff to be clean. That's something that our Muslim brother would have no problem with. The tassels and things that you wear. I don't know if they'd be against. I would say many of them would not be against. As a matter of fact, many things we're wearing are things that our Muslim brothers will wear. Why? Because our father is Abraham. The fight of a lot of different things that are going on is still Ishmael versus Isaac, but Ishmael and Isaac are supposed to be under Abraham. If Abraham speaks Paleo Hebrew, if Abraham worshiped the Most High, if Abraham believed in these things, then all of us should get to that point. So it's not quite Esau and Isaac, but a lot of your Bible kind of has a lot of that stuff, and usually your Bible has a lot of the second-born kind of usurps the authority of the firstborn, because a lot of our firstborn don't do what they're supposed to do, type thing, or the firstborn in this case was not even supposed to be the firstborn. The only reason why there is an Ishmael versus Isaac beef is because Abraham and Sarah were unfaithful. So there's a lot of stuff that goes into it that you can still see that leaves a vast horizon for us to look over from the mountaintop. But there's a lot that goes with it. So I'll leave that there for now. Thank you for reminding me about that, Minister Shante. But yeah, so there's a lot that we can go into with that. I'll leave that there for now. At some point when we return to that, I'd like to have a little more information, because some of the stuff I feel like I'm gonna have to show you right in your face. Like I've done that before, where I've shown you, hey, that Muslims, or even persons who who became Muslim, even they used to use before they said this, and so over time now this is this, but we used to agree on this and blah blah. I've shown that stuff before, but I need to find it, put it together. I'd like to even print it out, because I know only TikTok be able to see it. So there's a lot of stuff. We'd have a lot of moving parts. How you doing, Blossom? How you doing, Brother Henry? How you doing, Minister Maria? How you doing, Jared? If I didn't say so already. All righty. So great question. Any other questions, comments, or concerns? I think somebody asked about Shabbat or Sabbath. Did anybody add anything else to that question? All I saw was Sabbath in the comment. It was a while ago. Yes, Holy Spirit is excellent. Amen. Somebody put something in about Sabbath. I can just talk about Sabbath, but Sabbath is once again another vast conversation. So there's so many different ways, and I want to be careful to see if I actually ask what you could, because you could be asking, what should we do for Sabbath? What is the day Sabbath is on? All this. And those of you who've heard persons ask those questions, another Q&A, we can go for about an hour easy before I even recognize that I'm skipping over time and things like that. So I want to be careful, but I'll just answer this as Holy Ghost leads. And if you have something that was more specific, then I apologize. I might have misread. I don't know what you meant by that question. Once again, today is Q&A. So feel free to ask away whatever questions, comments, concerns that you may have concerning, obviously, this is for educational purposes only. And this is kingdom sense. We're coming from, not common sense. And whatever questions, even if it's not just biblical, if you want to talk about worldly things, if you want to talk about election stuff. Now, look, I'm not paying attention to every single thing in the election. And I know some of y'all are already upset with me about election stuff. Right? Because I'm not going to change my stance, and I'm not going to be like, we need to support anybody on this stuff because it's Yah first. You said, how do you keep track of Sabbath as far as the moon? Sure. So the moon, you look at the new moon. We actually have a calendar out, and we put that stuff out, and I try to tell you, like, the next new moon, the next new moon is going to be on August the 10th. Rosh Chodesh Chazan. So August the 10th. So until then, Right now, the Sabbath is on, so we go from the evening to the rising. So we don't go 12 a.m. to 12 p.m. That's man-made. We go 6 p.m. to 5:59 a.m. The evening to the rising, like in Genesis chapter 1 or Genesis chapter 5. Or sorry, Genesis chapter 1, verse 5. In the evening and the rising was the first day. Genesis chapter 1, verse 8. In the evening and rising was the second day. Or Yom Aleph, Yom Bet, etc. And you look for a new moon, right? Now, so a new moon is not what a lot of persons think. A lot of persons be thinking the new moon is a full moon. You even will see even some of our so-called Israelite brethren out here, or persons trying to talk about it and saying that the new moon is therefore something that has to do with the new moon is something that has to do with the full moon, which is not correct at all. Or they'll talk about that every 7 days. They basically use the same calendar everybody else does, but we're not. Our calendar is different, right? Our calendar has months and everything, but it's centered around the moon. So depending on when the moon is new, right? Not when it's full, because a full moon would be when it's most mature, right? When the baby is born, or when sperm meets the egg, even let's say like that, and it's new, what happens? You have a new creature, it's forming. So when the moon is new, when it's coming about for the first time, in other words, we can see it for the first time, right? When it's fresh, that's the start of the month for us. So, and which means we don't always necessarily have 7 days a week. That's part of the missing ingredient as well. A lot of persons miss that. Every week of every month doesn't always have, for us on our calendar, does not always have 7 days a week. So let's say you had four weeks, right? Let's say you had 4 weeks of the moon, of the moon, whatever, of the season of the moon, and then you have 2 more days before your new moon, or when the moon's going to be new for the first time. Right? How you doing, babe? My wife is on the Honorable Alma. As always, check her out on TikTok, YouTube, her website, and Pinterest at Bloom and Flourish. Not A-N-D, the letter N, Bloom and Flourish. She is a healer, herbalist, chemist, and biologist by degree. Love you, babe. Thank you for being on. So when you see this new moon, the new moon basically, or so let's say you have, I'm sorry, go back to what I was saying. You have 4 weeks, and you've had 7 days, you have Lash and Shalom all the way through Shabbat Shalom, or you have, as we learned on Wednesday for SOC University, you have Yom Aleph all the way through Yom Zion, right? You have your 7 days, and then you repeat over 7 days, repeat over 7 days, repeat over 7 days. Now, you might have 2 more days until there's a new moon. So you might have the first day, the second day, but then when you have a new moon, guess what you do? Immediately, you go back to the first day. How you doing, Sister Monica? So once again, you might have 7 days. Let's say there's 30 days in a month. Let's do like the Gregorian calendar. You got four days or 4 weeks, right? 28 days. But then when you get to the end of that 2-day period, day 29, day 30, right? So you have 1 day, you have the second day. And then as soon as you get to the new moon, guess what you do? You start over. And so that now is the first day of the next week. So depending on how you look at it, that 4th week could have been 9 weeks, or that 5th week could have been, that 4th week could have been 9 days, or that 5th week could be 2 days. However you look at it, we're immediately going to start over again in the next month. How you doing, Iron Grid? So Sabbath for us in that regard is a lot different even than a lot of persons move. So you'll actually hear me a lot of times say, Shabbat Shalom on whatever day the Sabbath is falling on, and Shabbat Shalom on Saturday. For many of us in the land of our captivity, do not have a choice right now. Kind of all we can do is Saturday, right? But for those who have a choice and those who would like to, or even if you just want to be aware of it, we try to make sure that you're aware of it. So, but yeah, right now until August 10th, which is a Saturday. So until August 10th, we're still under this moon. When we get to the new moon on August 10th, that means August 10th at 6 p.m. Eastern New York time, which is a Saturday, I believe. So as soon as we get to August 10th, then guess what happens? Hold on. Is it August 10th? Yeah, okay, I'm right, because August 5th is a Monday. So August 10th, when we get to a Saturday, all of a sudden, we're going to Saturday at 6 p.m. becomes our first day of the week, or Saturday at sundown, however you want to look at it, right? It becomes your first day of the week. So now your Shabbat will be on Friday until the next new moon, right? So that's how it works for us. So right now, our Shabbat is on um, our new moon. Well, I can't remember the day. But right now, our Shabbat is on for this month. It's on um, Fridays Fridays starting at 6 p.m. Right, so that's our Shabbat, which means that today at 6 p.m. is actually when we start our week. When we get to next month, when it's starting on August the 10th, that'll be a new fresh moon, right? And when that new moon comes out, then we start Shabbat all over again. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. Um, I'm sorry, you said two questions: how to deal with trials and tribulations in life, what is meant by strong delusion. Um, I mean, that's also a very big, huge thing. I mean, I guess if we're talking about trials and tribulations of life, I mean, that's a huge thing. How do we deal with every single trial and tribulation? If we're going to the huge vastness of that part of it, I mean, really, how do we deal with it? Is I could be very, what is it? I could kind of just say what everybody says. I could be very repetitive. I could be kind of surface level and just go, well, yeah, right, or have faith, or wear your works. But if we wanted to go into it, I mean, the trial and tribulations of life. First things first, I would say, even though it sounds like I'm being surface level, I don't think I should skip over those things. Right? Thank you. I could sound very cliche. That's what I was looking for. Thank you. I used to always searching for the word in my head. So I could sound very cliche in saying those items, right? However, to sound even if it at the risk of sounding cliche, I would say that first things first, yes, Yahweh. How does he see it? How do I see it? Do I, something as simple as Yahweh is my shepherd, I shall not want. Recognizing that word want means that I lack, and I never lack. So I should not want anything. I should look and see what I need. Because whenever everybody's needs are provided, if you just think about it simply, even in using the word, we don't think about etymology enough a lot of times because we're not really taught to. We're just taught to use words without knowing what they mean. But think about it. If somebody were to tell you right now, every last one of your needs would be provided to the day that you die, if somebody were to tell you that, many of you would have no problem with that at all, correct? Right? If somebody were to say every single need that you shall ever have, it's already taken care of, many of you would say, man, that's enough. Correct? How you doing, Gina? Correct? Right? If somebody said you will never be without a need for the rest of your life, a lot of you would go, right? Wait a minute, you mean I don't have to worry about food? I'll always be under a roof. I'll get what I need as far as emotional needs. See, but then what happens is we start even looking at other stuff. See, we start looking at wants or lack. But what about that? No, Yahweh created you, right? He gave you a mission. He gave you a goal. He gave you a journey, right? He's the one who even set up the environment for you to either to thrive in and sometimes to fix. Sometimes he puts you in a jacked up or broken environment because he trusts in what he's given you to be able to use it to fix what you're around, right? Right. He's even given you the ability to be in paradise this day, which is a whole, I know I'm going a little existential for some, right? But we have all our needs supplied according to his riches and glory, right? But here's the deal. The world keeps telling you you want something, but have you ever thought what you need? So for example, I didn't used to think like this, but I've caught a different thought process. I have a different prism that I look through. I have different tinted glasses than what I once did. Right. How you doing, Shoe Queen? So if SOC is going to be, and it basically has become at this point a worldwide organization, and it's going to be something where persons are going to have to come together, and eventually even some of them might want to live together in different places. Then guess what I need? I need, even though I don't have a job, but somehow, some way, every need is provided. What are some needs you think might be provided? I might need to go to another country. How you doing, Lady K? You hear what I'm saying? I might need. You see, like this is when it becomes different. Some of y'all got mad at Creflo. Creflo, obviously, he was on a little bit of stuff. But hear what I'm saying, right? There might come a time. Now, SOC's got to make a certain amount of money before it can happen. How you doing, Sister Sheila? Hopefully all is well. Try and reach out to you again. So my need, and today is Q&A for those that are coming on. So my need might be at some point. I don't know if it is. I'm just telling you what might be. My need might be at some point. SOC might need to have an airplane. Not even just for me. What if out of need, we might need to do that to feed SOC members in other countries? Right? Or we might need to have some kind of business that comes together or support one of you guys' business to where we can go ahead and get some food delivered and stuff. Minister Stephen, I don't even know if that's a possibility with what you're doing in your business, but who knows, right? We might need to figure that out and be like, hey, how can we start stuff off? Even if it is like cut us a deal in the beginning, but we're going to make sure we make it up on the back end, put it in contract, whatever. But there's a need. You see what I'm saying? So I might need to have a secretary. Matter of fact, I don't might need, I need. You see what I'm saying? So at some point, I need to have a secretary. And guess what? Yahweh provides Sister Renee. And I'm not using that need correctly, but he provided. Sister Renee, forgive me. Right? But he did provide somebody who says, hey, I got you. There's other person saying, hey, Pastor Kofi, I know you need help with phone calls. I can see that you're tired. I can see that you're getting tired out. There's a lot that's on your plate. You're technically not supposed to be over certain areas of the country, and other person's supposed to be, but they going through their stuff, which means you got to be over them and your family stuff and all this. I can see, like, so he provides on my needs. And that's something that we have to look at. Like, so the world will get you to believe you have a want, you have a lack, but no, Yahweh says you have a need. So on your journey, you have to start looking for what are my needs. A lot of times we move into areas, like think about this. A lot of persons will go, man, I need to move. All right. So when you say that, I have to then ask the question to make sure that you need to move is actually culturally accurate. So if you were to say to me, Pastor Kofi, I need to move, my first question would be, is it because somebody says they're kicking you out? Well, yeah, because I can't pay the rent, blah, blah. Does it mean you can't? Or have you already decided you can't? Did you pray to the Most High? Did he tell you what you need? Well, I need to have a place to stay. No, that's want, that's lack. You want, you lack. No. What's your need? Before you come to me from this melancholy point of view, what is your need? Right? By the way, I just learned, I mean, I kind of sort of knew this, but I didn't know it to the extent I know it now. Apparently, melancholy is when one is depressed, your gut health is messed up. When your gut health is messed up, basically you have a lot of issues with your melanin on the inside. So they call it melancholy. So when your gut health is off, you usually be a little more depressed. It's harder to get up. It's harder to be involved with stuff, which is why a lot of persons lose interest in stuff. See, so something as simple as your need to eat correctly could go ahead and mess up. And now you think you're always lacking that extra energy. You ain't like, man, I really should have done that yesterday. I really should have, I'm a go-getter. Why am I not getting so? Man, my wife and I, we always doing this. Sometimes even something as simple as, man, I'm not even, forgive me. Trigger warning. If you got babies, this and that, feel free to let them not listen now. All right. I give you a few seconds. I'm trying to be nice. This is not for babies, but I know that babies be watching, right? This is not for babies. So just in case, and if you are a baby and you're watching by yourself, and when I say baby, if you're 12 years old or younger, teenagers, I'll give you a break. If you're 12 years old or younger, please get off. Technically, everybody's supposed to be off if you're under 18. But if you younger than that, please be obedient for a second. If you're watching the recording, parents, I gave you enough time. You can fast forward. All right. So, and how you doing, Warman 723? And thank you for the love. Appreciate you. How you doing? Kia, please forgive me. I don't know if it's like for Lakia or if it's Kaya, please forgive me. But where was I at? Oh yeah. So the babies. What was I doing? Oh, see, now I done forgot. Babies, this and that. Oh yeah. Even with your gut health, that might be the reason why some of you might not be as turned on. It could be something as simple as your gut is off, your mesentery is off. And I'm not talking about you're overweight. That's not always an indication as whether your mesentery works or not. It's not always, right? So you could be going through some stuff in your gut health, and you can bring the babies back now. You can be going through some stuff in your gut health and not even realizing what's actually happening, what's actually going on. How you doing, Yahugadal? How you doing, Warren? So, doing what we're supposed to and doing so Yahweh provides my needs. A lot of persons get this twisted. What is my need? How you doing, Brother Vincent? And thank you for being on. Yahweh provides all my needs. A lot of you keep looking for wants. Look, I'm called to preach. And look, you can say I want to play the piano. I used to play the piano all day. I still have a love for it. I would love to travel like I used to, playing keys and stuff and playing for some big names and doing all that. And maybe would help SOC if somebody knew. And maybe I could get up under this person that's famous and they could help out and they could put us on blast. And next thing you know, like, yeah, cool. But the reality is, like, that's a want, though. That's not my need. What is not even my need? What does SOC need? Because I'm not called to pass. Well, I actually have to pass it myself, right, to a certain degree. But I'm not called to pastor Kofi. I'm called to pastor SOC, to be the excuse me, of SOC, the assembler. So yeah, so even the things that I need are things that you need, right? Like, that's why I tell y'all, we need to support each other's business. Right? It shouldn't be I want to, it should be I need to. For a lot of us, when your wants become your needs, you'll realize that you don't lack. Yes, Brother Ross. Okay. Right. But a lot of you you come from a place where you think that you talk about your lack rather than your need. Like, you need, if you want to become a nation, if you want to become a community, right, you need to support each other. If you want to stop having a 9-to-5, you need to make sure you have a business that is viable for your community first. So we build you up. I mean, this is the way it is. So our shepherd is trying to take you to green pastures. And a lot of you are staying in the mismanaged browning or yellowish grass, trying your best to eat off of stuff that has no more nutrients. What you said? Oh, read chapter 13 last night on interdependence. Oh, praise y'all. That's what you're talking about, Sister Monica. Praise y'all. Amen. How you doing, Sister Deja? And thank you, babe, for leading the women's meeting and all that you guys do. Right. So your needs. You hear what I'm saying? Your needs. And we're always looking for the lack, for the want. I want this, I want that. Watch this. Make it become something you need. Make it become something that you need. If I need look, I'm obviously not a woman. I'm not a female. I'm giving an example. If I were a woman and I need my husband, I'm going to treat him different than if I want my husband. Just the different. Did it click with somebody right there? Just changing that word. If I am a husband, right, and I need my wife, it's different than I want my wife. Are you hearing what I'm saying? You catching the difference? I need my wife is different than I want my wife. Now, look, you should want your wife. I guess you could say that, right? But I don't lack my wife. I need my wife. See, some of you are trying to find a wife because you feel like you want a wife because you lack a wife. But if you are Yahweh's husband, then, right, or Yahweh's wife in the spirit, then Yahweh is going to make you his version of a husband, which means that he's going to give you a wife you need and not the wife you want. I'm trying to tell you. See, I can't even imagine, right? We talked about imaginations yesterday, and vain imaginations and evil imaginations, right? And with that word, sorry. Actually, I said it different yesterday than what it actually is. Yaya Tassar. I said Yaya Quashar. Excuse me. It's Yaya Tassar. I think I taught it wrong. But anyways, it's about fishing, actually. I said it was about the axe. I had it wrong in my head. Yaya Tassar. Excuse me. Yaya Tassar is two hands, and you're fishing for something, and you're the head. And that's what it means to imagination. So to imagine is almost to go fishing for something, and we can go fishing for something from the source that Yehovah wants, or we can go fishing for something that the world wants, right? Or you can go fishing for something that's your fleshly desire, right? But Yah already has your need supplied. So fellas, do not look for the wife you want, because if you're looking for what you lack, what's your definition of lack? Do you even know what you lack? Because you need a helpmeet. You need a multiplier. You need somebody that can look at your situation. Come on, you know this happens all the time. Your wife be getting upset with you, and she's telling you this and telling you that, and you're so frustrated. And why won't she just listen? Why can't she just get in line and blah, blah? And sure enough, after about 2 weeks of being upset, and forgive my language, and being pissed off at her and all this stuff, eventually you realize, dang, she saw it exactly right. Because she's there to help you in the places you can't see. So you're so busy talking about your lack, and you're arguing with your wife out of what you want to do. And she's here to say, no, I wasn't sent here to tell you what you want to hear. I'm sent here to tell you what you need to hear. Elwin, I promise you I'm going to answer the question, but I'm trying to just, because that right there is going to answer a bunch of the stuff that you're talking about. If I get to this point where I realize what the difference between a need is and a want, and I start walking on my needs or on foundational needs rather than looking to hang by a want, I'm going to be more solid in who Yah wants me to be, right? So I've become somebody who's okay with my needs being met. I used to be somebody that's I want you to look. If I don't get what I want, just get Yah. I've realized now, just give me what I need. It stops a lot of squabbles and a lot of arguments. It's going to help you to get a great boundaries in all of your relationships, your friendships, your work relationships, your contracts that you sign, all that. It's going to help you when you stop worrying about what you want and just get what you need. Get what you need. How you doing, Big Brother Thomas? Right? Get what you need out of it. Don't get what you want, because what you want is what you lack. You'll always see, whenever you think about, I want, persons who are always talking about what they want, I didn't get enough. I didn't get what I wanted. I didn't get what I wanted. Start looking at their life. I promise you, they act like they're lacking something. Somebody who wants money, right, rather than gets the money they need, I promise you, look at their life and you'll see that if they don't have money, they think there's nothing. And the second that they, I see you, TC. The second that they lacking, the second they don't have that money, watch what they think about their lives. Some persons out here, watch what they do as far as these views. Right? They preach different when they have 200 views. When they only got 20, they don't preach the same. Watch. I know that even during the summertime, there are some that have more things to do, or they're traveling, or there's vacation, or maybe some persons ain't listening to Pastor Kofi right now, but usually we go through, ebbs and flows. So right now we're not around 100 to 120 to 150 or whatever. We down at about, 60 something, then we get up to about 80 to 90, and then that's about the highest we're gonna get right now, right? My preaching shouldn't change because I don't see the numbers. If it does, it's because I'm looking at what I want, not what I need. You guys right now are what I need to give. I need to give you the best that I can, right? If I want to give, that means that I'm saying I don't have it or I didn't bring it. See, I'm just telling you, people do in different ways. So some persons think that if they don't get 100 million views in 2 weeks, that they're not great enough because they want 100 million. But if you reach 90 million fold, right? Then what did you need to do with the 90 million? If you only talked to 2 persons about the word of Yah this month, did you give them everything they need? Or were you like, oh, that's only 2 of them, and you just gave them what you wanted to? Matter of fact, if 2 persons were sent by the Most High into your life this month, right? Yahweh sent them because he has need of you. I'm just saying. Yahweh sent them because he has need of you. How you doing, Achat Jonaki? How you doing, Sister Judith? So your need versus your wants, it's going to help you a lot, because now when you're talking about trials and tribulations, let's go to this. And I know I'm coming from a place that might seem surface level, but I hope we've gone through a little bit, at least through the reeds. If we haven't gone through the marsh, if we're not getting a little deeper and going through the river point, and now we're starting to get towards the ocean a little bit. Look, if I'm going through trials and tribulations, first and foremost, I got to ask myself, did I get this trial or tribulation attached to my life because I needed it or because I wanted it? Ooh, I know it sounds like I'm getting existential there, but let's keep it on point. And it's Q&A today, by the way. So as a reminder, today is Q&A. If you have questions, comments, or concerns, please let it be known. We'll be on extra, maybe an extra 30 minutes or so, maybe extra 30 to 45 minutes. And, we're in like closer to noon or something like that. So if I haven't got to your question yet, I promise there's still time. If you have time to roll with this today, feel free to, right? Highlighted scriptures the same. There's a Q&A today, so we can go wherever, but we read same thing we've been reading each time to start. Genesis chapter 8, verses 20 through 22, and Genesis chapter 9, verses 12 through 17. Right? But what's the difference between my need and my want? So is my trial needed or is my trial wanted? That sounds weird because the second part of it says, well, is that a law of attraction thing? Are you saying I attracted the trial? Maybe. Because did you feel you had a lack and moved in want and moved in lack rather than moved in need? If you're moving in need, Jehovah might give you a trial because you need it. No problem, Big Bad Wolf. Thanks for being on. Right? For example, my son, if he goes to Kung Fu and he's off on something and it's now his parents' class right after his, our Shifu, our master, might say, Solomon, stay and go over there and work on the punching bag. Right? He gave him a little extra trial. He gave him a little extra something. Why? Because maybe he was at ease, or maybe he was bored, or maybe he didn't get stuff correct, whatever the case might be. So Shifu says, okay, because I'm teaching you what you need, I can't let you out of my arena, out of my dojo, so to speak, today, without first ensuring that you got what you need. So go over there and keep on going. All the other children, they're getting a break. All the other children waiting on their parents, right? They're doing it because it's like a little community. All the other children waiting on their parents. Cool. They're having fun, blah, blah. You don't get to do that. You need to focus on your need. How you doing, Sister LaCrystal? Focus on your need, right? But I don't want to do it. He doesn't say it, praise Yah, but I can see it in his face sometimes. I don't want to do it. But Shifu's not concerned about his want, right? Out of what you feel you lack, he's making sure that you have all your needs provided. So has Yah given you a trial? Because if Yahweh gave you a trial, you might need it. And one of the things I don't think we even think about is, did Yah give me this trial? Because if he did, then I need to figure out what he's going to teach me in the season, because if I don't pass today, he might give me the same test again next week. If I don't pass next week, he might give it to me next month. And if I try to run away from it, then I'm being disobedient. And I should recognize that he chastens those who he loves. So as far as my trial and tribulation, first and foremost, is it a trial that I need or a trial that I want? Did I get this because I lacked his tutelage, because I went outside of his will? Or, thank you, Bruda, or am I getting this because he said this is for me? Is the world having access? But I'm still protected, but they're getting closer to me and it's uncomfortable. But is there something I'm supposed to learn in this place of discomfort? Now, if I got there because of my wants, because of what I wanted. How you doing, Brother Yosef? See, now we have a different conversation. If I'm where I am because I wanted to listen to that music. I wanted to talk to that woman. I wanted to talk to that man. I wanted to take a vacation. I wanted. All right. Well, if that's where with the trial and tribulation I'm dealing with because of that, I've fallen into temptation. Because remember, Jehovah will tempt you, but he will never lead you into temptation. But if I'm at a place because I want it, then that means I've fallen into temptation. So how do I get out of temptation now? I'm dealing with trial and tribulation. So now how do I get out of temptation? I've got to go back to the same one I should have just went to, so he can what? Give me what I need, right? And once again, Don't limit Yah. I keep to see when I'm talking about needs, I can even feel in my spirit. I can feel in my shando. There's somebody listening to me saying that Yahweh will provide all your needs, and you're thinking it's not going to be enough. What? Because I want. No. See, you keep talking about lack because you're going outside of His will. If Yahweh gives you everything you need, it's according to His what? Riches and His what? Glory. Glory, part of the definition, means heaviness, weight, or imprint, which means that if Yah's going to bless you, His imprint, it means, like, watch this. If it's going to leave an imprint, let's say you're a stamp. Just use your holy imagination, if you will. Let us say that you are a stamp. And if you are a stamp, right, in order for your stamp to get on whatever you're trying to put it in, you need somebody to press, right? And when somebody presses on you, put some weight on you, then they'll pull up the stamp, they'll pull you up, and then whatever you were supposed to put as the imprint is there. So Yah will give you all your riches and glory according to will give you all your needs, or will provide all your needs according to His riches and glory. Part of the word glory means imprint. So He's going to make such an imprint or put such a heaviness on you that wherever you go, His imprint is left. So He might have to apply some pressure to your life. So it's going to be difficult sometimes to deal with it because we're not ready. We're always prepared, just like in business. Everybody in a lot of businesses, don't even make it. What is it? 3% of businesses make it to where persons can make 6 figures a year, right? Less than that are going to be businesses that actually are, bringing in, net 6 figures a year, and way less than that are going to get to 7, 8, 9 figures, obviously, right? But a lot of persons don't plan in their businesses for many things, including a lot of persons don't plan for failure. Or if you don't like that word, because you can fail forward or fail up, but if you do not like that word, a lot of persons don't plan for rough times. So prayerfully that helps with the question. The second part of the question, real quick, what is meant by strong delusion? That one's pretty simple. If somebody has decided that they're going to be against the will of Yahweh, and he keeps sending opportunity after opportunity for persons to get their lives together, and they still decide they're going to stay outside of it, then He will allow you to be given over to a reprobate mind. And He, might even answer your prayer, a strong delusion. Watch this. Some persons don't want to think about it like this, but Israel wants a king. That's right. Israel's been shown that Yahweh is their king, even before there was an Israel, right? However, Israel says, give us a king, give us a king, give us a king. You want a king? Fine. I'm telling you, it's not going to work out the way you want, but I'll send you a strong delusion. You think he's your king, but in reality, he's got to be under me anyways, right? Or a reprobate mind. There are persons out here that are upset with me and frustrated because I said, hey, voting ain't going to get it done. And now they're mad, they're angry, and this and that, and you don't understand and see you're okay with your diaspora being blah, blah, whatever. And the reality is that your diaspora, no matter who's going to be voted in, you're still going to be dealing with the same stuff. You think the KKK is going to stop marching because Kamala's in? You think that Florida's going to be safer for you because Kamala's in? You think that Chicago's going to get it together because Trump's coming in? you think that that misogyny is going to end because Trump's going to be in and he's going to grab him by the P word? But it is weird that, right? So, but when it happens, you have to realize that Yah will say, okay, if that's what you want, and you're going to continue to go against the word, and you're going to do what? What's the only unforgivable sin? You're going to blaspheme against Holy Ghost. Well, then guess what? I'll send you a strong delusion. I've told you it's not correct. I've been holding it back. If you want to go ahead and just roll with that, here, I'll release it. Go ahead. I'll send it to you. With that orange, basically, right? Hey, that's what y'all said y'all wanted. I've shown you the truth. I've told you it's not right. You guys are bucking against it. You guys want your own thing. You guys want Trump. I'll send them to you. You guys want Kamala. I'll send it to you. You guys want Obama. I'll send them to you. Y'all didn't even like Biden. Now all of a sudden you're going to vote for him no matter what. And now you want to say his administration was it. Hey, I'll send it to you. George Bush told you not a child left behind, and everybody's child left behind. But you're going to keep going. I'll send it to you. You see what I'm saying? He'll let you get what you want, because he has to give you free will. And a lot of times we just go, Yah is sending, Yah is giving. Yeah, Yah could send vengeance and stuff, but Yah chastises those who he loves. See, when we talking about chastisement, we talking about punishment, we talking about whoopings, so to speak, right? Yah will spank his children because he loves you, but he'll just allow others to be out there. He's not, I need you to comprehend. Yah, when he dealt with Sodom and Gomorrah, he didn't try to punish them. How you doing, Sister Angela? He didn't try to punish, and Brother Mike as well, I believe, right? And the babies, how y'all doing? Yah didn't punish Sodom and Gomorrah to try and teach them anything. He just punished them. But Yah, when he punishes Israel, he's trying to teach Israel, because he needs your works and your faith to get back online. You see the difference? So he'll send a strong delusion. If you decided you finished with it, hey, you want to be with the Satan, I'll send you a strong delusion. Everything that you want, I'll let him go ahead. I've already told you what to look out for. You decided not to listen, you do what you do. Right? His strong delusion, so to speak, is basically you do what you do. Do what you want to do. I told y'all want to be hard-headed. Right? That's what my father would say. You want to be hard-headed. Some of y'all parents used to say, hard-headed, make it soft. Right? He'll send it to you. So trying to vote in America is like asking to be turned into a pillar of salt. Keep looking back. It's burning up, but you keep looking back. You've been saved. Wow. Brother TJ, come on, sir. I'm gonna give you a fist bump. Come on, sir. That's a word. How you doing, Sister Joy? You keep looking back. You seeing it's burned up. You see they wanted your children. You see they were trying to lay down with your daughters. You don't even got to look back. You've been saved. Wow. That's a word, Brother TJ. You got me on that. You shook me up a little bit on that. Praise Yah. Woo! Hallelujah. That's a word right there. I'll try to give you credit as much as I can, but I might steal that one from you, bro. That's a word right there, sir. Voting. What'd you say? Voting for America. What did you say? Trying to vote in America is like asking to be turned into a pillar of salt. My greatness, sir. Salah. Salah. All righty. All right. What was the next question? Brother Craig, you asked the next question. And today's Q&A, if you just joined us, by the way, thank you for coming in with us. We'll be on a little later than we normally are. We try to do so on Q&A days. And then today's family day. So I will not probably be reaching out to anybody except for I know we still got to reach out to some of you to make sure we got your shirt information right. We haven't sent out all of them, by the way. So we are aware that some of you didn't get yours yet. And how you doing, bold servant, if I didn't say so already? What was it? Oh, you were asking, how do we know when Yahweh sends a wife, I believe, Brother Craig? Or TC asked something before you. Okay, sorry. How do you deal with people who are impatient? People are so quick to go off on you. Sister TC, I'm going to see, me and Bruda, we be honest, but then again, some stuff I know is for behind the scenes. So since you Bruda, I got to ask you a question before we get into it, okay? And thank you, Brother Craig, for making sure that I knew that. And whoever put it, I'm assuming Bruda probably put it on the screen. So, Sister TC, I got to ask you something real quick. Do you go off on persons? You don't have to give me like details, but do you go off on persons? And not because they go off on you. I'm talking about, do you go off on persons? Oh, you put it on the screen? Okay, thanks, babe. Sorry about that. I can't tell when somebody puts something on. I can't tell who puts it on the screen. I gotta ask, Bruda. I gotta ask. I'm not gonna get deep into it, but you gotta, if you can, talk back to me real quick. If you're on, just TC, you on? Okay. You said it takes a lot for you. You let it build up most time. Okay. So every once in a while you go off on somebody because you keep it to yourself. By the way, that sounds familiar to me. Okay. So I had to ask the question just to make sure I knew which way to go. All right. So that's cool. Ain't nothing wrong with it. Just need to make sure. All right. And thank you for being forthright. So now that we have that, And once again, sorry, babe, for not seeing that you posted. I really can't see when somebody does that. I can't see who posted. I just know a moderator has to if I didn't do it. So thank you to all the moderators, but especially to you, babe, in that moment. Appreciate you. So, how do you deal with somebody who's always going off on you? And I got to be careful with this question because if I be honest, I'd be going off sometimes because I still anger issues. I'm not as bad as I used to be, but I'll be honest, like anger issues. I had a lot of stuff that was built up. There was a time that I couldn't speak. I was very frustrated sometimes, if I'll be honest with you. Like my childhood was kind of taken away from me a little bit. I'm thankful that it was. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed my time with my mother and everything. But my mother was very sick, so my sister and I spent a lot of time until she passed away, basically. And then I kind of felt guilty at the end of it because I went into the military. And then after that, I didn't take care of her last couple of years, even though I came to visit her. And then sure enough, she passed away one time when I was gone. So, there can be reasons why persons are walking around with anger issues. There's a lot of stuff that's happened to me in my life. There's stuff that I still haven't forgiven others for that they've done to me or done to my family. I'm very big on words of affirmation. So if somebody says something, it sits with me sometimes for years, and that's something that's not even healthy. I'm just being honest. I've had to learn how to smile while being very upset about certain things that are going on. And I like to talk out things detail by detail. So if I can't get the details out, or if I can't go through it in my mind 7,000 times, I get very frustrated with that. So I say all that to say, you can be dealing with somebody such as myself to where they can be angry about a lot of different things. And you have no clue as to why. It's not your problem, whatever, right? There could be many different reasons why somebody's hanging on to something. Somebody can be angry. But when you say, how do I deal with it? I guess it depends on the context. Obviously, if somebody trying to put hands on you or something, you got to defend yourself, or Brood, I got to defend you, which I know that's already what's up, right? So, but sometimes you might have to be like, get off me. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes that's the answer. We be so spiritual. Sometimes we're so mystical, rather. Sometimes we're not practical. You be talking to yourself. Yeah, I be talking to myself. Definitely. Persons look at me strange. I'm that guy, especially when I was homeless, right? But I'm still that guy. I walk certain places and cats be looking at me because sometimes it's not even talking to myself. I'm praying out loud, but I definitely talk stuff through. You said you're misunderstood. Most of the time, someone can think you're getting smart and you're not. And by the way, that's Israelite woman thing, or a black woman thing. Where our sisters are always supposed to be smiling and chucking and jiving and stuff, or even they're not in the place where they can smile because you got a lot of stuff going on in your life, right? And we don't recognize that, nor do we defend it, nor do we think about it, nor have we been taught how to do so. So there's a lot of stuff that goes with that part of the conversation as well, if we just be completely honest, right? That's going on with that. That being said, it depends on the context. So first of all, boundaries are always allowed, and they should be important. And nation building, a nation can't exist without boundaries. Thank you, bold servant. Appreciate you. Right? A nation cannot exist without boundaries. So if somebody's going to go past your boundaries, you have every right to defend your boundary. Right? That's wars have started when somebody says we just going to come across and grab your stuff. We're going to come into your resources and do it. Right? So you have every right to be like, hey, this is a boundary. I don't know what you think this is, but you don't just get to cross it like that. You have every right to have stuff set up like that. And you don't even have to necessarily say it all the time. Sometimes it can be as simple as, oh, you're going to wild out, you're going to act crazy, you're going to act stupid. Okay, no problem. When you start doing that, I can just, that's not a big deal at all. I'm okay with just giving the deuces. Right? I'm okay with I'm black sheep in my family for real. I'm okay if in my family, somebody's gonna be like, oh, well, we're not gonna hang around you, we're not gonna invite him, he's weird, he blah blah, he don't fit into the clique. And I come around, person start acting kind of whatever. Matter of fact, I just don't even go to a lot of the events, to be honest. No, I don't look for it. I don't look to fit in. And so as far as that. But you have to, but also too. Now here's where it comes in. If you're fitting the standard, and I'm gonna just in here because we can go through that all day long. Shiberta, Sister TC, we could do that all day and forever today, right? Really, with the same thing. I would say this: if you know that you're living the standard, now we always got to be careful, and we always know we can be perfected. We always know we can be greater than where we are. I'm not saying that you're without sin, right? But let's keep it a buck. If you're living the standard, and somebody doesn't understand, they're not under the same standard, then you must recognize that they're supposed to get upset with you. And I don't think we think about that. Like, we run away. We don't want cats to be afraid. Look, if I go outside and I wear Israelite garb, persons are supposed to be upset with me. I represent something different. How you doing, Sister Sherry? Yeah, amen. Right? Like, persons are supposed to be upset with us. This hair is a crime in the United States corporation. If I just walk as who I am, the standard, somebody's going to be upset with me. Right? I told you already, persons, and you might have seen it on some of the posts. I've been trying to post a little bit more recently and stuff like that. You know, all I did was say what the Bible said. Or as a matter of fact, I didn't even put it out. I put up what somebody else said, and persons are upset with me because I would defend the person's stance, which is a biblical stance and one that SOC has been, right? But if that's what goes on, you got to still say, okay, like somebody's supposed to be upset with you. If you're going to stand in righteousness and somebody's not in righteousness, righteousness stands for right lawful standing. If you are in right lawful standing and somebody else is not in right lawful standing, yeah, we should ruffle feathers from time to time. So when you say, how do I deal with it? First things first, realize somebody's supposed to be upset. And now what are your boundaries? If the boundary is, hey, you doing too much or whatever, let them know. If the boundary is, hey, I don't even have to be here anymore for this, let them know. If you have to wipe the dust from your feet, right? I mean, this is, now we're just going to scripture, but you let them know where you are. Right, I'm gonna treat you with kingdom sense, not common sense, right? Like, you're not a commoner, so if they keep coming to you with common beliefs, conqueror things, you're more than a conqueror. They're trying to get you to be like the world. They're saying, well, you know, you should handle it like this. Well, you didn't do this. Why did you do it like this? I didn't do it like this because it's not even my culture. It's not even biblical. It's not scriptural. Why didn't you handle your husband like this? Because it's not biblical. It's not scriptural. Why are you always talking about Yahweh? Why are you always talking about Yahweh, Yahuwah, etc.? Right? Why are you always talking about the Most High? Why can't you say God? Because it's not my culture. It's not truth. It's not reality. It's not the way, the truth, and the life. I'm a follower of the way, not a follower of the church. And persons are going to get upset about that, but they're supposed to, right? That's a sign that you're doing what's righteous. Remember, it's our sweet spot, and I don't think we go over it enough. I come out of it almost 2, 3, 4 times a live session, but Matthew chapter 5 through Matthew chapter 7, the Sermon on the Mount. Yehoshua says right in there, blessed are the poor in spirit. Why? What does that mean? Those who supposedly are not as spiritually inclined as others. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for the kingdom of heaven belongs to you. And blessed are those who mourn when you're going through something. Why? Because you shall be comforted. And blessed are those who hunger and thirst after righteousness. Why? Because you shall be filled, not your enemy, right? And blessed are those blessed are those who who are meek, the humble, for they shall inherit the earth. And blessed are those who give mercy, because you could have easily gone at them, but you were merciful, and you shall obtain mercy, right? You can keep going down the list, and then it gets to the end. Blessed are those when they rebuke you and revile you and say all manner of evil against you for Yahushua's name's sake falsely. In other words, they lying on you. They're so upset and they're so frustrated about what you're doing, they have to begin to tell lies on you. Well, that's a blessing, because they did the same thing to the prophets that came before us. So when they do that, rejoice and be exceeding glad. Now, this is the part that cats don't get. When it says rejoice, the word joy is not have to do with happiness or sadness. The word joy has to do with the state of being. Thank you for the one that I missed, or if I missed another one, appreciate that, right? Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see the Most High. Okay. Amen. Right? So blessed are the pure in passion. That word heart, lab, or lev in modern Hebrew, Paleo Hebrew, lab. Blessed are those who are pure in their passion, for they shall be able to see the Most High as who he truly is. Because if you have a heart after Elohim, then your heart leads to his heart. How you doing, Pastor Hamilton? And prayerfully, you guys have a great service in a little bit. So you have to realize and recognize what's going on, right? Is that a lot of persons are supposed to be upset and frustrated by you. We're so used to everybody trying to be the same, but they're supposed to be put off by you. And so I'm not trying to say go looking for trouble. However, I'm just telling you, don't be afraid of when it shows up. And I know I'm not saying since TC you are afraid of it. I'm just saying, in general, don't be afraid. Don't go looking for trouble. I'm not looking for trouble. Real talk. I don't go around looking for trouble. How you doing, Shalom? How you doing, Miss Plentymore? You said it's sad because kingdom sense is supposed to be what's taught, not common sense. Yeah, because we're not commoners. How you doing, Deisha Trump? Right, we're not commoners. But unfortunately, truth is uncommon. You say you're just tired of defending yourself. Yeah. And by the way, that's why I said with the boundaries thing too. So that's a great point. And I didn't know that was the level that it's at now. But when you get tired of defending yourself, do not. The word of Yah defends you. And am I saying you even have to quote every word? No. Just if you are, that's what I was saying. If you're in righteousness, if you're the standard, what do you have to defend? The only reason we're defending ourselves, at least if we feel like we always got to talk back or explain everything, sometimes you should. The Bible says that we should be able to give a hope, others a hope of, and show them. Basically, some versions even say you should be able to debate, but we should be able to give a hope for what we believe in. But sometimes I don't have to defend. Like I defend the stuff in this platform because I'm teaching, right? But I don't go around worried about if somebody's like, oh, well, you don't believe what I believe. I mean, okay. Well, you stupid. The Bible says that you can go ahead and eat pork. It says it right there. I mean, you got that way out of context. It doesn't say. Peter never ate, but then Peter realized that he should be preaching to those who want to be grafted in, and he shouldn't treat them like he treats the meat that he shouldn't eat. But he never ate the meat he shouldn't eat. But I know that. But that being said, they don't know that, and they've been given something false. If that's what you're doing, cool. You do what you do. You know, amen, babe. Yeah, you know, the reacting towards them and all that stuff, you ain't got to worry about it. Just sometimes it's like it is what it is. And we keep doing this weird thing where it's like we got to explain, or our family members, you know, they make us go through this thing, and you feel like you got to give them every single. No, like this is how much I used to be into trying to do that stuff and defending every single point that I made or defending every life decision. I used to be the person. I was in the military. I used to, wherever I traveled, I called my family and tried to contact my family, try to make sure I fit in, to the point where I was calling everybody at least 1 to 2 times a week, and nobody would answer the phone. Nobody would do this stuff because I never fit in. This is when I was trying to be like them, trying exactly to be like them. And it just gets to a point to where it's like, you know, like y'all don't even like me even when I'm trying to be like you. So, okay, I'll just be myself. And if that means you don't answer the phone, if that means that you guys put me in a box, if it means that I'm not supposed to be cool because I've gone over here, like I'm okay with, you know, being by myself. And those who really love me and my family, like those who really want to be a part of what I'm doing, those who really want to be a part of conversation, those who feel like I'm worthy of being reached out to, so be it. But I'm not going to blow up anybody's phone anymore just for the sake of blowing it up. That's not even a biblical thing. That's a waste of time. Right? No offense to anybody. No shit. I'm just saying, like, this ain't about y'all. I'm talking about me. I'm talking about my personal side of my family. Not talking about Elder Amma, not talking about Solomon, right? And I know it can affect them, blah, blah, because I'm just being honest. I'm not in a position where I'm going to say, I'm going to give you all this time and effort and energy and tears during the night and all this stuff. Like, because, like, for what? Right? I'm losing time. I'm losing sleep. I'm losing energy. I'm drained. I'm sick. I'm having nausea. I'm having heart palpitations. You see what I'm saying? Like, no. Right? And even with persons in the kingdom who say that they're part of SOC, I've dealt with persons who be armor bearers. I've dealt with persons' children. I've dealt with relationships and stuff, trying to get them together. And I'm sitting up here losing time and losing effort and losing energy. And I'm having issues in my own marriage because I'm giving other persons way more time than I should. And I'm causing all types of cracks and stuff in the armor. I'm losing sleep. I'm crying out for folks. Like if you're not gonna listen, you're not gonna listen. But if you know what Yah says, you know what he says. Yeah, even if you're an empath. Empathy, by the way, I'm not trying to come against you. How you doing, Tony? I'm just saying, be careful, even those who say that you're an empath, because many of us are empathetic. But sometimes we've even been taught, a lot of times what happens with empaths is that empaths have never been taught. Like my son, you could probably say is an empath, right? Meaning he feels energy, or he can feel the energy. He's very empathetic. He sees stuff. He asks questions about things that others don't really see, because he's always looking to see what's going on. But also, too, if you're not careful, it becomes something that he might try to fit in all the time, too. Right? And so he might not have boundaries that others may not have. You see what I'm saying? So going back to the boundaries, I think it's to make it very clear, have boundaries for yourself. Because first of all, it always starts with you. If you can cross your own boundaries, everybody else can. Right? Now, I think this is past the question that Sis asked. But real talk, if you cross your own boundaries, it's kind of like this. If you're going to start a business, you have to be on time, right? This is why I've been trying my best to make sure we get stuff squared back with being on time. Because if I won't be on time, nobody else is going to be on time, right? If I'm going to be the pastor, I've got to pray for you all. Because if I don't pray for you all, then I shouldn't expect you all to pray for me, right? If I will not hold myself accountable to boundaries that I've been given by Yah for myself, it's going to be really difficult to move on anything for everybody else. How you doing, Sister Kimberly? Amen, Brother Craig. So first things first, what are the boundaries for yourself? Because if you won't keep those boundaries, right? For example, some of you, your sibling, I don't know, your friend, I don't know, is constantly and consistently trampling your boundaries. Is going in your fridge, so to speak, and taking stuff out that doesn't belong to them. Going in your emotional fridge and taking stuff out. Going in your emotional and spiritual bank account, so to speak, with that vampirism, with that vampire type systemic mindset that they have, and just taking your energy. And then when they get what they need from you, they're gone, right? Okay, now you'll get mad at them. But I have to ask a question. Do you make sure you have boundaries for yourself? Do you make sure that you don't go past that? Do you ensure that you know that, hey, I'm only supposed to do this and I got to go to sleep at this time? Do you make sure no matter what, you're going to get your sleep? Do you make sure, hey, I need to feel like this or that or whatever, I need to feel secure. And so you're going to make sure that you get security out of this. Do you make sure, or are you one of those persons that hold in because you're not going to put a boundary even for yourself? If somebody calls you 3 a.m., somebody calls you 2 a.m., you tell somebody straight up, I'm finished talking, but then you sit on the phone with them 30 minutes after and you've been telling them for 30 minutes, you're finished talking, but they keep saying, yeah, but because they don't respect your boundary, because you don't respect your boundary. Right? First person that's got to respect it is you. I have persons that get mad at me when I do coaching, because we'll be talking. And look, I have no problem with it, because I know I love y'all, right? But sometimes I got stuff to do, and persons sometimes want to talk to me for 3, 4, 5 hours. I'm not even exaggerating. My wife can tell you, like a 2 hour, 3 hour, 5, maybe 5 hours, even though I've gone there with persons. But especially first time I talk to somebody might want to go 2, 3 hours. And I have to, and sometimes if I'm led to, fine, but sometimes I might not be able to go but 30 minutes. I know you want 2 hours from me, but we can set up another time. No, I ain't talking about you, Bruder. I'm talking about some persons that were kind of like disrespectful. With like, I'm telling them, hey, I gotta go. And they're trying to talk you up. And then when you say, okay, like after 2.5, 3 hours, they get upset when you're like, hey, all right, I appreciate you. I really do gotta go. I kind of been doing this stuff already. This time I gotta really lock in with what I'm doing. And they'll get that, like they'll almost have an attitude with you, right? Stuff like that. I had to set my own boundary though, and be like, hey, I got to get this stuff done because I used to be the person where I let you keep me on the phone for 5, 6 hours in the name of Jesus. But now that I know who Yahshua is, and I know that it's okay for me to value my family first, it's okay for me to say, I'm going to make a demarcation. It's all right for me to say in the middle of a conversation, hey, my wife is calling. I'm going to hang up. I'm going to answer the phone. I'm going to call you back. Matter of fact, I might not say all that. My wife is calling. A click, it might be what you hear. And then I might even text you if it's going a while, because my wife might need me for a while. She comes first. I might have to text you, hey, this might take me a minute. Can I call you back in 30 minutes, 40 minutes? May I call you back tomorrow? I don't know. Right. I'm becoming okay with setting boundaries and keeping them up for myself. Right. And once you get there, then others will start to respect the boundary, even if respect for the boundary means they'll leave you alone. Now, this part is, but this is part of the transaction, right? What if you setting a boundary for yourself means that that person leaves you alone? I believe that if somebody will disrespect your boundary, it might be best, even if it's for a season, it might be best if they leave you alone, right? And in my situations, it's even more in depth because look, I literally can have thousands of things to look at every day. The person's be like, you didn't get to blah, blah. I'm like, I don't even think somebody realizes I might have, if you take emails, DMs, Messenger, which I mean, I'll just put all in the DMs, emails, DMs, text, phone calls, scheduled stuff, teachings, Patreon, family, business, making sure that Solomon's giving me all this stuff. I just sometimes don't have, if I get back to you, I'm being honest with you. Like the reason why I'm texting some of you is because I don't really have time. I be trying to pick up the phone. I be sitting up in myself saying like, man, I really wish I could. It's been a long time since I talked to brother so-and-so, but I can't. But I become okay with that and being like, hey, and that's why even sometimes I don't try to get on y'all because I wish I could just be like, but that's why I even have a secretary that y'all's blessed us with that. That's a need. I didn't even ask for it, but then I started realizing in the beginning, like I didn't have moderators. And at that time, I might have 1,000 persons on a live session just by itself, just on TikTok by itself. We might have had 1,000 persons. And here I am trying to moderate for myself with 1,000 persons. Here I am trying to look at the whiteboard, turn around, moderate, block persons if necessary, mute them for 5 minutes, this and that. No, you need a moderator. Even Moses had to come and be like, Moses' father-in-law had to come. Zipporah's father had to come and say, Moses, you might need to stop trying to do all this stuff by yourself. You're going to fail. Even the disciples who became the apostles, that's why the deacons came into place. You guys know that, right? The deacons came into place because the apostles were failing. They were getting embarrassed because the people of Yah were not being taken care of. So they had to put deacons in order, in place. They asked the people. They didn't even put the person in place. They said, you guys tell us who you believe are best suited to take care of the diaspora. That's how the deacons came into place. Right? So, sometimes you have to have boundaries because you'll go crazy if you don't. You said you were having a conversation last week about boundaries. Yeah. Like sometimes not sometimes, all the time, you have to be in a position where persons, and we do this weird thing where it's like, well, persons will just stop talking. What if so-and-so stops talking to me? What if they do? They're talking to you now and you're having heart palpitations. Maybe they shouldn't talk to you until they'll stop giving you heart palpitations. Right? But maybe you need to have a break. How you doing, Jan? You said you're losing the so-called friend over 40 years because of your boundaries. Yeah, and persons get that. And by the way, may I say this too? I don't know if this is your where you are, Sister Knight. And I see your comment. Yeah, great comment, Miss Plentymore, or Miss Moore. But may I say, I'm gonna just put this in here real quick. Sometimes it's our fault because I'm somebody that can say it was my fault. See, because sometimes you let persons run all over you. You think to yourself, you're strong enough to handle it. You'll let it go. It's not a big deal, So you let persons mistreat you all the time, right? And then if you're not, and what happens if you're not careful is that you start kind of going in on folk. Anger issues. You start doing some wild stuff, and person's like, "Where did this come from? That's not even your MO." And it's like, well, you might have had anger issues before, but the stuff is coming out now because I might be for the first time telling you the truth. Like I wasn't truthful. I was lying. I would let it go, but just because I let it go does not mean that I was okay with it. How you doing, Bruder Richard? How you doing, dark matter? Right? Exactly. And so in doing that, we were permissive. We were giving them permission to keep doing unrighteous things to us over and over and over again. And so now, right now we're upset. And now we're at the place, I'm not going to let you do. I'm not. And every time this person moves, we're yelling at them. And the reason is because we weren't honest in the first place. Sometimes they asked us, sometimes, not always, but sometimes they literally asked you, are you okay with this? And you would go, yeah, okay. They'd be like, are you sure? Because yeah, okay don't sound like yes. And you'd be like, yeah, that's all right. And then you kept letting it be all right. 2 years, it was starting to mess with you for the first time. 3 years, you would get a little twitch, a nervous twitch when you saw them do it. 4 years, you start mumbling every time they do it. And they're like, that's weird. 5 years, you start saying something about it, but it's harsh. And they're like, who you think you're talking to? By the time 6th year happens, who you think you're talking to? Now you ready to get up in their face. And they're like, I've never seen this side of you. But it's because, look, this side always existed. But for whatever reason, I thought that loving you meant not to show you that side so you could love that side. No, I need a boundary on that side. So I'll be honest. I'll be first to admit I was, because I was raised in a family where, and words of affirmation is my love language. Then on top of that, I was raised in a family to where the smallest of things said meant that we cut you off for years. Right. So I was raised in a situation where I believed that I wasn't supposed, you don't say what you feel, because if you say what you feel, somebody will stop talking to you, this and that or whatever. Right. And then but eventually I've gotten to a place now where I've finally gotten mature enough to discover that that's a childish thing, to never say how you feel. Right. I try to in trying to teach my son, because I realized that I was very scared to do that. And I don't ever want my son to feel like he should be afraid to talk about how he feels. He should have a filter eventually. I'm kind of glad he doesn't have a filter while he's young. We developed the filter, but I don't want him to feel like I was, which was I used to walk around and never say what I truly felt about anything. Nobody knew if I was happy or sad about it. To that point, that's where I was at. So when I started trying to put that and instill that in him, and my wife is very strong in that, saying how she feels as well, and which is, I'm not saying anything bad. That's how it's supposed to be. I saw them doing it, and something in me was like, why can't you do this? And so then I started getting, but then once again, anger. Should have been anger, but this is what happened with me personally. Anger starts poking its head out and being like, I'm mad that everybody can do this and I don't get to do this. And so I changed it in my flesh into everybody's against me, blah, blah. You, whether through life experience or through decisions that you've made, how you doing, Sister Taya? You, Kofi, never told anybody how you felt. And that's something that if you're angry at anybody, you got to be angry at yourself. So now that you realize that, yeah, great pretender, right? So now that you realize that, okay, forgive yourself, because they didn't do anything wrong. They didn't do anything wrong. They're doing exactly what you wish that you had been trained to do. So you don't know how to do it, learn. And I became greater at it because I made the decision, right? And I still, be honest with you, it still creeps in my head. My flesh still creeps in and be trying to be like, yeah, see, they be trying to do, and they trying to run game. No, I have to squash it. Right. So sometimes it's on us, if we be honest. Sometimes we allowed persons because we were strong enough. It's not because you're weak. We were strong enough to lie, at least strong enough in our flesh. We were strong enough to allow a person to get away with it. And now we're at a place where we're more mature. And it's like, but once again, when I put certain boundaries in place, also one thing I've learned is I'm learning. I'm still trying to learn how to do it. I haven't quite gotten my little personal formula together. However, I'm learning, if I do something that's righteous, I don't really have to come against you. I don't really have to yell. I don't really have to feel like you trying to mistreat, blah, blah. Like, look, if I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, then it's what I'm supposed to do, period. In the discussion. Until you lost yourself, most High return you great boundaries. Amen. Yeah. So I'm just saying we get to a point where we don't have to defend. If somebody understands, it means they're under the standard we are. So they'll understand. If they cannot comprehend and understand, that's really nice as well, because even if they don't get it, but they say, hey, we know that your standards of righteousness will give you the benefit of the doubt. But if they can't understand nor can they comprehend, okay, well, have a great day. If they can't comprehend and understand, and therefore they're going to yell at us, my boundary kicks in. All right, well, thank you so much for coming by, but you have to go home now. If they're yelling us over the phone, well, okay, no problem. If you disagree with me, I still love you, but I'm not going to be disrespected on the phone. And click. And I'm talking about that's all we need to say. Sometimes we try to go through this whole thing. Look, you got to understand, ain't nobody going to disrespect me. And you go through this long soliloquy. It's like, no, all you got to do is they start yelling. All right, you just being disrespectful. I love you. Click. It doesn't have to be any longer than that. And if they call you, if they text you and with a long thing or whatever, text back. I'm going to block your number for the next week because what you said was very disrespectful. Do not call, do not text because it won't matter. You won't get through. And then I'm not going to read. All right. I'm not going to read any more text or anything that you put through. Please do not come by. Right. And you can block. I mean, it's a very simple boundary thing. I don't have to go any further than that. We don't have to go any further than that. I've had this happen with former SOC members. They get upset about something, they frustrated, they swear, oh, well, blah, blah, this and that. They don't even know full stories of stuff that happens, or they see a little piece of something, they don't like it. And look, sometimes persons just need to go, whatever. It's on them to go. They can get fed better somewhere else. I'm not mad at it. But I'm saying sometimes somebody might be really upset with me, frustrated. Guess what? Okay. And if you keep contacting me or saying this stuff or saying like really wild, evil, despicable stuff about me, or some persons have started whole channels about me in the past and stuff, like, okay, like you cut them off, you block them. Have a great day. And if somebody asks me about so-and-so, I'll say, well, so-and-so doesn't like me, but when they were here, they really worked hard, this and that or whatever. I'll even still big up you because I have boundaries for myself. So I'm not going to, just because you're trying to use ad hominem against me, doesn't mean I'm going to use it against you. You see what I'm saying? That's why I said, how you doing, Benjamin? That's why I said the boundary has to be power. It has to be something that you have in place, right? I pray that none of you who are listening to me and I ever have any beef or anything, right? However, if we were to not be around each other for whatever reason, I promise you that I'm not going to start lying on you because you decided to go and be part of another community or organization. If somebody were to ask me about you, if you did great things for the children, guess what I'm going to say? Man, they on point for the children. If you did things that helped my family, guess what I'm going to say? You know what? They helped my family. They say, well, you guys disagreed and blah, blah. Yeah, we disagreed. Fundamental things. But you didn't ask, did you come there to ask me why I disagree? Did you come here to ask me, you know what I'm saying? Like why this person is whatever. I would have zero problems with it. We're telling them the righteous things about it. Now, if you're doing some things that are going to cause that were mischievous, that were sinful, it could be problematic for somebody's organization. Well, then I have to tell the truth about that as well, right? Because that's a boundary. If I did something mischievous and untruthful, I'm supposed to do the same with myself, with you. You see? So that's why that boundary thing is important. If I will obey my own boundary, then I will see. Watch this. Here's the biggest. I said all that. I'm sorry. I was talking and talking and talking, sis. This is probably the answer, the real, just straight up, show enough answer. You ready? And all that talking I just did. Watch this. If I have a boundary for myself, and the boundary is to be righteous no matter what, then I can't take on unrighteousness, including if it means that you're going to yell and fuss me out and cuss me out. That's right. Disagreement doesn't mean dishonor. That's a word right there, right? So my boundaries should be to do Yah's will. That's the boundary. It's his walk, is his word, his law. His walk is his law, is his boundary. So that's my boundaries. So anybody who's around me should not break those boundaries. I should not allow it. And if you truly love me, right? As a matter of fact, if you love Yahushua, the Bible says you will keep his commandments. And if my boundaries are based off of his commandments, well, if you love him and you so-called love me, then you will keep his commandments with me. You will keep the boundary. Anybody who says they love you, but they can't keep boundaries, they're a liar. How you doing, Godchild? Thanks for being part of the community. Right? Anybody who can't keep the boundary is a liar. They don't love you. Right? Some of y'all get it twisted. Somebody likes you. Like and love are different. You can dislike me all you want. The Bible doesn't say you got to like me and you got to love me. How you doing, Nelson? Thanks for being part of the community. We get this thing twisted. There's days I don't like me. I don't like where I'm at. I'm disgusted with me. I'm feeling bloated. I'm overweight. I'm not this. My nerves are bad, literally, nerve damage. It's not about whether I like being in front of y'all in that moment. I have to love what I'm doing and love those who I'm doing it for. The difference. Shalom, Jojo. You see the difference? So that's what I'm saying. The boundary is there. There's days I don't like myself. I'm going to love my wife just because I don't like myself. Doesn't mean that I'm not going to pay the bills. Just because I do not like myself doesn't mean that I'm not going to enjoy Family Day and make sure that she gets to go somewhere for Family Day and make sure that my son gets to experience something he's never experienced, right? Just because I don't like where I'm at in a moment doesn't mean that I'm not going to love my family in the same moment. And the moment could be fleeting. You could not like yourself in the moment and like yourself the next. You could like yourself this moment and not like yourself the next. But love is Yahweh. And if love is Elohim, if Yahweh Achava, if Elohim is love, right? If the Most High is love, then love is eternal. So I don't turn love on and off. I tap into it or I do not. I live in it or I do not. It emanates, it permeates this body and it emanates from this body or it does not. But love is eternity. So anyway, I don't know if I answered the question, sis, or not. I feel like I might have danced a little bit, right? But love is eternal. Love is eternal. So we praise Yahweh for that. All right, love. I think now the next question was Brother Craig's. Am I online when he said, "How does a husband know if he found a wife?" Is that correct now? This time, or no? Okay, cool. Is that am I in correct order now? Is Brother Craig up next? And then I think after that is Into the Deep. All right, thank you. So how do you know that you found the wife? Well, what's the qualifications for wife according to time? Now, once again, it's gonna be a cultural answer, right? What's the qualification for wife? First of all, before we get into the qualification for wife, we must recognize that he who finds a wife means that you must be pre-qualified before you become a wife, and the husband must be qualified as a husband before he can go find a wife. So first things first, are you qualified as a husband? Do you know what a husband is qualified? See, we keep talking about what a husband is, or we keep talking about a wife rather. But what is a husband? The house band. What was Adam when he became Aish? For that cause, he changed what he was named by Yah was Adam, man. And then when he found Aisha, right, when she was presented before him, he did what? He said, "For this cause will a Aish." See, in your Bible, it just says man twice, but the second time it says man. For this cause will a man leave his mother and father and cleave to his wife. He actually called himself a husband. He called himself there an Aish, or Ish, as some of you would say in modern Hebrew, right? So he called himself a husband. For this cause will a husband leave his mother and father and cleave to his wife. He spoke over every Adam kind, every man who graduates from Adam, from man to Aish, to husband. He said that each one of us from that point on, right, we will leave our mother and father behind and cleave to our wives. Does it mean that I can't interact with a mother and father at all? No, but it means that they don't come first. My father doesn't come before my wife. And there are certain things that we have to think about, but he said Aish. She didn't just say for this cause shall a man. See, once again, in English, you see man twice. So you say for this cause. That's why some of you, when you get married, you say I now pronounce you man and wife. But no. You're supposed to graduate to husband. And you're supposed to be, according to the culture, a husband before you find the wife, pre-qualified. Just like before you drive a car, you're supposed to be pre-qualified. You got to get licensed, right? See, they don't teach you these things. See, before you drive a car, you go through a course. Before you give tattoos, you go through a course, right? Before you practice medicine, you go through course. Before you sell homes, you go through a course. Before you practice law, you go through a course. Before you can work on somebody's teeth, you go through a course. Matter of fact, before you work your job, you go through a course. You have OJT. You can be in fast food. You're going to learn something for a few days. You don't just jump on the cash register. There's a course. Even if it's OJT, there's something you have to go through, and you have to be checked off and signed off on. But it's interesting that when it comes to marriage, this is how demonic this stuff has become, and the system has become. When it comes to marriage, though, nobody worries about a course at all. Nobody has a course of action. Nobody's actually sat down and been like, what is it? Now, we have tons of recordings, tons of messages. We have SOC University stuff on it. We have it on Patreon. We have it on our YouTube channel, Facebook channel, TikTok, etc. We have tons of stuff on husbands and wives, right? However, I'll try to answer an overall type place. I'm sorry, what'd you say, baby? So being a husband means what you must. Being a husband means what you must to give. Oh yeah, you have to give, and makes wife selection very picky, right? Because even that, wow. See, okay, amen. So my wife just said something deep. See, because even in being a husband, if I am pre-qualified looking for a husband, every husband trained. Now this is cultural. Not everybody does this in their culture, but we're talking about you, right? Who say that you're in the culture. Every husband is trained on not only when I'm trained on what it is to be a husband, I also am trained on what it is to know what a wife is. But I was trained to be a man in our culture and our customs, right? If I'm trained culturally accurately, then I must be trained also to know what a woman is. That means if I'm trained to be a little boy, that also means that I have to be trained on what a little girl is. So you're in a situation now to where even persons who are straight still don't know the difference between a boy and a girl. I know some person's gonna get mad. I'm gonna tell you the truth. Even if you're straight, nowadays, you're still not supposed to know the difference between a boy and a girl. Somebody says, no, that's not true. Yeah, it is true. You know how I know it's true? Because you're afraid if you're straight. Some persons are straight and are still afraid to say he, she, and that be it. Right? Because we're taught, even if you're going to be naturally what you're supposed to be. See, the goal is, look, can we have an even more in-depth? See, that's why I said this thing is like long. I'm going to try my best to shorten this up. I'm going to be led by Holy Ghost, and prayerfully this is for, because I don't know. This is not going to be surface level, a lot of this, what I'm about to say. But look at this. The goal of the world, the goal of the beast, if you look at it, is to ensure that nobody knows truth, including what is a male and what's a female. When we got into the point to where we doubt male and female, we got up to a problem. We're having fights and arguments, right? Even over a word like gender, which comes from the word genre or genre, believe it or not, right? There are many genres of music. And what they're trying to tell you is there's many genres of human, right? But genre, gender, that's why they teach you. If you've never known this, they're trying to beat around the bush. You might not know this, but there's many genres of music, right? However, a bass guitar is a bass guitar. Okay? You can try to mix it up all you want. A bass guitar is a bass guitar. Right? And that's really what they're trying to get you. They're trying to trick you into genres or genders, but look, a male is a male. I know you don't want to hear that. How you doing, Savannah Speaks? But that's the truth. How you doing, Veronica? They're trying to trick us now. How you doing, Splashon? They're trying to trick you now. Look, there's country music. That's a genre of music. But if he's playing a drum set, that's a drum set. Right? Genre has to do with style, by the way. Right? Gender has to do with the style. Not genre, gender has to do with the style. Are you hearing what I'm saying? A genre of something is a style of something. This is important to know because every culture has male and female. They're trying to change this now in the society you're in nowadays. But every society, every culture, every ancient society, even if you want to go there, had male and female. There was never any issue with male or female. Matter of fact, if somebody was born with both parts on the outside, you can look on what's on the inside to be able to tell what they are. Because even if somebody is born with a phallus, right, and a vaginal cavity, right? That doesn't mean that they can give birth and impregnate themselves or impregnate somebody else or be impregnated by somebody else. They can do one or the other. Even if there's a mix-up, even there's some kind of falling short or sinful state, if you will, that's come from us going away from what the truth is, including even in dietary habits and other things. It does not mean that that person that we see on the outside is something different. But the genre or the genre, or what you call gender, same word, same root word even, but definitely same word if you know how etymology works in the French to the Latin to the Greek, etc., to the English and Germanic, they're saying the same thing. The genre, gender is a genre is a style. So every culture has males and females, but the style in which they allow males and females to operate, or the genres in which males and females can operate, are different culture to culture. That's the difference. So when you talk about what you are, you have to realize whatever genre or gender you are is attached to the culture you are in. Everybody catch me on that? And thank you for coming over from the podcast. If you're on Facebook, if you're on YouTube, if you're on TikTok, we appreciate you. Everybody catch that? Right? The genre or genre is the style. So male and female in different genres, right? So for example, if you talk to an ancient Greek person or even modern Greek person, amen, and they say they are into platonic relationships. You say you're into a platonic relationship. The person who, the original word and the style they had for that, they would look, the genre that they have, the gender that they have, they would look at you strange. Or they might look at you kind of strange in the manner which they were happy, but you might feel strange. You know why? You know why they would do that to you? They would look at you strangely because what? They would look at you strangely due to the fact that when you're talking about the gender, the style that they have for the men, Plato is where they get this word platonic relationship. So if you hear platonic, it's platonic relationship. It's something that Plato did. Now, Plato was one he was a gay man, right? Plato also was one that hated marriage. He thought the worst relationship you could have was to be husband and wife. So Plato believed in something that Spartans and others believed in, and many others, Athenians and others, believed in, at least for seasons, and some of them still did, and with the Greeks and the Romans going on through time, and some persons still believe this. Plato believed and taught, he's supposed to be this really wise man, right? He taught that the best relationship that you could have was to be a male in like your early 40s and have a young boy relationship, right? Somebody who's like in their preteen age. Now, today we would call you a straight up, you know what? But back then, in the genre or gender they had for the Greeks, in particular Greeks, not all the Greeks, but the Greeks that were under the influence of Plato's teachings, they believed that they should do that. That's where you get this word called mentor. The mentor was the 40-something-year-old who was supposed to be teaching somebody. You're going to be in a relationship with somebody that becomes, physical like that. You're supposed to be teaching them. You see? So they become a mentor. And the person underneath them becomes a mentee. So the mentor is the 40-year-old. The mentee is the one who's young, who doesn't feel comfortable, and basically is being forced. And it's something he might not want to participate in, but it's the culture. So everybody kind of has to literally bend over and take it. You've heard that before. You heard somebody say that? Western society, they say it a lot. Man, I can't believe you're doing it. Well, if you're going to get to that position, you got to bend over and take it. That's where you get a casting couch mentality from. That's where you get these X-Men persons who made these movies and making twink movies or having twink parties with these little boys out here. And everybody looks the other way. This is where this stuff comes from, right? This is why you have kids, by the way, because they were into little boys and they like to dress the little boys like goats. And baby goats are called kids. Matter of fact, I showed my wife this the other day. And some of you might have seen some of the pictures of it. I told you this stuff existed a long time ago, and now they're starting to outright put this stuff right back out on the market. They have these high heels, but the high heels are hooves. Now, you know, high heels supposed to look like hooves anyways. They were attracted, once again, to little boys, and they were attracted to the hooves. And if you know about it, men actually, their bodies react better to high heels than women do, because high heels were originally made for men, not women. It actually messes with your womb and a lot of different stuff with your ovaries, and women can get sick and all this stuff. And some women have gotten hysterectomies, and they've actually traced it back to how much they wear high heels, believe it or not. Now, you should never get a hysterectomy, period. But you know what I'm saying. That being said, now they have an actual hoof shoe where they brought it back, and it looks like a hoof. I'm talking about, it's got the fur, it's got the hoof, all that stuff. They're bringing it back. Right? But there's nothing new under the sun. This has been here before. Right? The only reason why women in history, the only reason why women started wearing high heel shoes was because the little boys were being attracted to, and men were scooping up the little boys, or they were looking at other men wearing the high heel shoes so much, including actors, including the thespians. Y'all might not know that, but including the actors of their day, those who were in the drama, they were all men. They were looked down in society for different reasons. And they would even hang out with little boys and become their mentors, which made them do the same thing and become actors, which is why Nero had some of the stuff that went on with him, because he was trained by an actor. My, hashtag, how you doing? Right. So you're dealing with a culture. So when somebody says they're into platonic relationship doesn't mean we're just a man and a woman that don't find attraction with each other, or we're just two persons that don't have. No, platonic relationship means a male and a female wouldn't have attraction towards one another, because the male not attracted to you, he's warped and depraved, and he's a 40-something-year-old man trying to look for a 12-year-old boy. That's a platonic relationship. That's a gender, that's a genre, that's a style. Now, somebody would take that information, and try to prove it and say, see, that's why you got to add some of those extra letters for some of us who are still attracted to the little boys. Right? And they'll say, see, that was something of antiquity. Everybody, see, back in the day, everybody had issues with that, or maybe it's not an issue. Everybody was just attracted to different things. But go and look at our genre or our gender. If you look at Israel, is that what we did? No. If you look in Shwit, is that what we did? No. If you look in Ashanti, is that what we did? No. If you look in Timbuktu, is that what we did? No. If you look in Mali, is that what we did? No. If you look in Kush, is that what we did? No. If you look in South Sudan, is that what we did? No. If you look in Kemet, is that what we did? No. If you look in Ethiopia, is that what we did? No. If you look in Zululand, is that what we did? No. If you look in Swaziland, is that what we did? No. If you look at Anakitawa, who you call Cherokee, is that what we did? No. If you look in Choctaw, is that what we did? No. If you look in Cali, right, which is where you get California, the people of Cali, if you look in Cali, is that what we did? No. If you look at the Olmec-Shi, is that what we did? No. If you look at the Aztecs, is that what we did? No. You keep on going. If you look at Jamaica, is that what we did? No. If you look at Cubano, is that what we were doing? No. If you look at Dominicano, is that what we were doing? No. If you look at Haiti, is that what we were doing? No. Matter of fact, if you look at the actual Germanic persons, the actual people of the original Germany, is that what we did? No. If you look in Japan, is that what they did? No. I can say we technically too. But in Japan, is that what they did? No. And China, is that what they did? No. And Korea, is that what they did? No. And Vietnam, is that what they did? No. And Greece, they did that. And those who take on the Greco-Roman mindset and became Greco-Roman so that they could try and say that they were Greco-Roman to abuse that same, or have that same abusive mindset, that they can go ahead and conquer others and it'd be all right to do the vile things that they were going to do. They are the ones who have gotten power, and you allow them to keep on speaking on your behalf. See, but it's a genre, it's a gender, it's a style. Every culture has different styles for the husband and wife. You know why they're trying to do, what is it called now? Is it called is it FDA or FBA? Basically trying to make a different place for the American Black person than there is for worldwide Black person. You know why the American Negro acts differently than the West African Negro or the Caribbean Negro? It's because we have lost our style. We lost our gender. We lost our genre. And if we ever went back to it, it's very clear what we're supposed to be. If you go back to your gender, your style, right? Because the sex is always the same, the male and female. And in our culture, sex also means marriage. And marriage is sex, sex is marriage, which is why we ain't out here just giving it out to everybody, or we ain't out here trying to get it from everybody. Because there's only supposed to be one person for it. That's part of our jancha. That's part of our style that comes towards the male and female and marriage. You said Paris Olympic inaugurations showed last supper with drag queens. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was a pastor who just did a sermon and made sure he revealed to his congregation that he was a drag queen. Did the sermon as a drag. Now I haven't watched it, so I'm not going to speak too much on it because I haven't watched the details. I just saw the pictures and I saw what was said. I saw what was written about it. So I can't sit there and say that I heard everything that was said, nor but I'm just trying to tell you, like, that's a gender. You got to recognize every culture has their own gender or jancha. Don't let persons lie to you about that. Once again, we do not take time out to recognize what do these words mean? Where did they come from? So we don't know when somebody says gender. That's just like saying, well, I like the gender of jazz. I like the gender of rap. I like the gender of hip hop. I like the gender of pop. I like the gender of country. I like the gender of bluegrass. And I'll listen to just about any music as long as it's done. Because I'm usually, when it comes to music, I mean, I'm usually looking for musicianship before anything else. So I'll listen to any style, even if it's something I don't like. I'll listen to it because I feel like I can learn from it, and I feel like I can learn your culture, because music is very heavy in culture. But every music has a jancha. Every marriage marriage has a jancha or has style. Every culture has a style. So when somebody's talking about there's multiple genders, you got to realize, well, what culture are we talking about? Now, in the United States of America, they always try to act like there's a melting pot. But if it's a melting pot, then why are we talking bad about the standard, which is husband and wife? See, so we can't look to their standards to tell us what a husband is, because they don't even know what a male or female is. And they definitely don't care about a genre. Once again, somebody says that's not true. Yeah, it is, because even those who are supposed to be straight or cis in this country, or this organization, or really it's the corporation, the United States, but you call it a country. Everybody in this corporation who says they're cis is still out here talking about, well, not everyone, I'm sorry. You get what I'm saying? A whole bunch of persons who will say that they're cisgender, they're cis male, cis female. I don't even know how those work, but they're cis this, cis that, right? They're trying their best to fit in. And in all the meantime, though, they can't tell you that, well, if there's male and female, then it's all right for me to say there's male or female, which means they're part of another style, another jancha, another culture, right? You're not supposed to be in love or to preach or to teach or to proclaim your own culture. That's part of the problem. That is part of the problem. Is as long as you dismiss who you are, it's not problematic to them. Right. And you might be told, yeah, your opinion doesn't matter because you're a cis white male, which, by the way, I would, even if somebody were to say that, and look, I'm not, obviously I have no problem being Afrocentric, talking about racism, this and that. I get what persons mean, but to say somebody's opinion doesn't matter, all right, but what about truth? Regardless of you're a cis white male, a cis black male, this and that, because guess what? If I were to tell somebody that according to my culture, homosexuality is something we don't teach, we don't apply it, we do not use it, we do not suggest it, we do not support it. That being said, and I can literally say this, if I were to say to somebody, that being said, if you want to do that in your culture, feel free to. We just ask that you do it within your culture and allow us to do things within the confines of our own. Somebody would immediately tell me why I'm wrong for saying that I should make sure my culture is protected. Because if we want to be honest about it, okay, Brother Craig, you know, opened up a can of worms, boy. I don't mean boy like that, forgive me, but you know what I'm saying, you know, open a can of worms, sir. Look, okay, you ready? How you doing, new? Is it new tie? I can't remember. It's new tea, new tie. Thanks for being on. It's been a minute. The LGBTQ plus community is nothing more than a face for certain white men of power to move in. Black Lives Matter is nothing more than blackface for certain white men to move in. Feminism is nothing more than the face of our black women to move on and move in. And it's not even your fight, like you told Sojourner Truth when she made the so-called "Ain't I a Woman" speech, which wasn't really called that, but y'all know what I mean, right? We've gone over the "Ain't I a Woman" version here, but that's not technically the name of it, right? And this is why some of you got upset when I posted the video, but this is why there's a famous, and I can't remember the sister's name, please forgive me, the sister who's made it a point to say, I believe she could be an actress, I believe, I could be wrong, but she made a point to say that, or maybe she's famous speaker, I can't remember who it is off the top of my head, but she made a point to say that black women are the mules for any movement. In other words, if any movement is going to take place, feminist movement, even though Gloria Steinem's the head of that, and she's a CIA operative, but who did Gloria Steinem go to? She went to a young black girl, teenage girl, and had her write a book to get black women to support the movement. Nobody liked Joe Biden. We knew he was a racist. We had a problem with him when he was in with Obama, right? But y'all let it slide because Obama was black. So you dismissed all Joe Biden's racist stuff. But y'all had a problem with Joe Biden, and you had a problem with the fact that Obama had picked Joe Biden. You did. You forgot. That's okay, because you're told what you're supposed to think and what you're supposed to remember and all that. I recall, I helped you out, right, that y'all had a problem with Joe. Y'all didn't even want him to run. Hashtag, please don't let me vote for Joe Biden, right? You knew he was racist. You knew he went back to the super predator thing. You knew that he went back to before the Clintons. You knew that that in the 70s and in the 60s, the person that was teaching him about politics that he looked at his mentor to be was a KKK member. You knew who he was. You knew that he was one of the persons that was really more Republican, but kind of switched over to being a Democrat when that whole switch happened in the 60s, in the 50s, in the 70s. Y'all know. We act like this stuff, this is so far gone. This is not that ancient, right? We knew what was going on with that. But who did they get to make sure that you voted for Joe Biden? You get black women. Matter of fact, you'll get a fake one because Kamala Harris doesn't even want to be black. Now, let me just say this to be clear. I don't think that Kamala Harris is not black, as far as we using that term African, because you know that Indian persons, even though they hate us, and they were taught to hate us even more by persons like Gandhi, and also, if you go back to by the English, and you keep going back even to when they had their 4 different groups, their 4 different sects. You know, they had the warrior class, and they had the high class, and they had the priest class, and they had the poor class, and then they even had the untouchables, which are us, who they still mess over and do all types of stuff to us and our women every day in India and in Pakistan. Don't get it twisted. We have persons that are part of SOC in Pakistan and India. Still, I would tell you, don't get it twisted. All right. They're still over there messing with us and messing with our people, but they are black. Matter of fact, the Buddha, Shakyamuni Buddha, he is black. Those are cornrows. Those are twists. And if you go to certain countries, even in the Vietnam War, when we fought, when our persons, when our people, our nation fought for the so-called country of the United States, this corporation who wouldn't allow us anything, when we went over there and we would fight, the Vietnamese would take us as the black folk, and they would actually take us to places where they had Buddhist statues, and they would look at us and they thought that we were worthy of worship because we looked like the Buddha to them. And the Buddha was a lot different looking over there than what you've seen now in these days, because they were honest about his looks. Right? We know who we are. And yet, whenever it's time to get something done, who they gonna pull out? Black woman. Right? This is why you have to have a Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris is black, but doesn't accept the fact that she's black because she's Indian, and in Jamaica, where in the islands, the Caribbean, where her people from, there's a fight over who's black and who's not, and the Indian who's decided to be more like the white man, just like Gandhi did. And so now we're fighting against each other, even though we both basically went through chattel slavery together, or at least you got to say back to back and then together, right? But she was not black up until it was time for her to start running, realizing that being Indian wasn't going to get her on the ticket. But guess what could? Being a black woman. And by the way, all this stuff, she went to the HBCU and she did the. Do you guys not realize how this works in politics? Can I help you out? Can I help you out? Now, look, I don't know for sure. I'm going to be honest. This is allegedly, because I'm the person who's alleging, or who is saying that this is a possibility, but I'm not saying it's the truth. I'm saying this is a possibility. How you doing, praise Yah? How you doing, Yasanma? Look, you ready? Watch this. Everybody who runs for president, they have lied to you about their past. That caste system. Thank you, Brother TJ. I was looking for the word, right? Can I say it again for the people in the back? Every person who runs, matter of fact, for governor, for a lot of mayors, but I'm going to say it again for the people in the back. Every single person who ran for president, not even became president. I'm talking about everyone who ran. I'm talking about those who were looking for the running against each other in the primaries. Every single one of them, they lied about their past. I feel like Kendrick. Why believe you? You never gave us nothing to believe in, because you lied about about religious views. You lied about your surgery. You lied about your past tense. All of that, all that is perjury, right? Whatever you said, whatever the line goes, you lied. Every single person. Watch this. Bill Clinton. They were training Bill Clinton to be president when he was a little boy. That's the truth. Do you hear what I'm saying? I'm trying to speak this to you because Israel, you need to hear this. Don't get caught in the okie doke. Bill Clinton was being trained. Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton's came together and signed a contract so that no matter what, they would be husband and wife, and she would do the perfect wifely duties. She didn't like him and he didn't like her after a while. They liked each other because they stayed with each other because they realized the power is with each other. But all of them are lying. Who's Barbara Bush's daddy, or at least alleged daddy? I don't have the proof and the evidence to put in front of you. Seems like there's a lot of proof and evidence, but hey, it could just be something random. But supposedly, who's Barbara Bush's daddy? They signed contracts, and you don't even look up to see who they are. Y'all know, some of y'all know who I'm talking about. Supposedly, Aleister Crowley, one of the most wicked men ever. You don't even know that. Aleister Crowley, who believed that they were supposed to be in orgies. If she's his daughter, it was out of an orgy. And somebody was supposed to sit in the corner and take notes. You said, who's Trump's uncle? Well, even go past that. Who's Trump's grandfather? Who's Trump's father? You see what I'm saying? Either way, this is not that difficult. Who's Trump's daddy? KKK extraordinaire. Who's Trump's grandfather? He's a guy from Germany who leaves Germany, right? Doesn't want to go to war, right? Trump's grandfather does not want to go to war. So to run away from his position, because everybody would have had to have been a soldier for a little bit, right? As they're coming up in the country. So he runs away, comes to Canada/United States of America, and starts putting together brothels. He becomes a pimp. Why does Trump not respect women? He become his granddaddy a pimp. And then he started messing up so bad in North America that they tried to extradite him back to Germany. Germany was like, we don't even want him, right? That's how bad he was. And his father, a KKK member, teaching him all this stuff. His mother had bad things to say about him. It's on wax. Trump's mother had bad things to say about him. She knew what was coming. And she was somebody who was okay with his daddy. right? You hear what I'm saying? Like the persons who are leading these movements that you're so worried about voting for, all of them are liars. I said, boom, there it is. Right? Every single one. Obama was a liar. Him and Michelle weren't rocking with each other like that in college. Allegedly. They weren't. Some of y'all believe Michelle is a man. I don't necessarily go that far, whatever. But they didn't care about each other like that. They're supposed to play a part. Who knows if they like somebody could genuinely like you but not be loving you or whatever. But she's supposed to play her part to make sure that they get to the bag. And there's something to be said for that. There's some kind of respect I have for that. So at least, hey, this is my lane. You're going to become the most powerful, supposedly, person on the planet. Go ahead and do what you got to do. I will play my part. I will stay in my lane. Right? But they're not who you think they are. Ronald Reagan was an actor. You don't think that he wasn't able to act really well to make sure certain things came together? Ronald Reagan's wife, Nancy Reagan, was known as being, and forgive me for saying it, right? But it's real talk. She was known for giving it. Okay, we're gonna be adult. Nancy Reagan was known for giving that great head. She was known for being on her knees, not in front of just Ronald Reagan, in front of everybody. No lie, no cap. Like that's not even something that can be disputed. She was known as being horror adjacent. Right? They had nicknames for her like Jawbone. I don't want to go too deep in there because it can become misogynistic real fast. I'm not careful. I'm not going to go to their level. But let's just be honest, right? She's now supposed to be some paragon of virtue. No, she's not. Trump's wife. Everybody tried to make her out to be better than Michelle Obama when she was copying off the same speeches that Michelle Obama made. But Michelle Obama was copying off the same speeches that Nancy Reagan made. And Trump's wife, which was the fifth wife or whatever, she was somebody who was buck naked in pictures. All of these things are lies. And they think that you guys are so unwise. This is why you're more than a conqueror. I'm not talking to conquerors. I'm talking to more than conquerors. They believe that those who are conquerors won't even look something up to see if it's true. You said the goat. I'm not going there. I'm not going there, right? But I'm just saying, right? I'm not going to go there. But they think you won't look anything up. Barack Obama is the first black president. They lied to you. Eisenhower was black. They lied to you. Abraham Lincoln was black and native and white. They lied to you. The 8 presidents that came before George Washington, some of them were black. Some of the ones that signed the Declaration of Independence were black. This thing has never been as simple as black, white. And I get what persons mean that, but that's why when black people even talk today, because a lot of those persons, they pass for white. And that's why we have a problem with persons who pass for white. This is why that Drake thing, like I was saying yesterday, became a thing, because Drake is somebody who wants to be black as long as it gets him views and money, and he can become the number one person, even though he's not the best rapper, let alone he's not really hip hop, he's pop. But you trying to take something that doesn't belong to you and you messing up. Thank you for the love. That's why we had his issues with him, with any of them. Right? When I say somebody's not Israelite, I ain't just talking about your color, bro. I'm talking about you don't follow the way. So this is what we're talking about, right? These persons are lying to you and they're putting all this stuff. So the feminist movement was led by the CIA and by the FBI. Why would I tell my sister to become a feminist? And why would I become a feminist if I know that the FBI and the CIA, who used it to manipulate us and even used it to have us fight against each other, and will be the same person talk about black on black crime? Why would I tell husbands, real husbands of the Most High, to go ahead and pay attention to a feminist agenda when the feminist agenda comes from the FBI and the CIA? Why would I tell them to become feminists or womanists, which is a little better, or intersectionality, which is now being used to try and bring in males and tell them that they're more women or just as much women as you are. Why would I teach them that that's what our culture is? Once again, a jancha or a gender is a style. It is a style attached to a culture. So anybody's gender is attached to their culture. So if my culture says that the style for male and female is this, then why do you say that I must give up that gender to become something more similar to yours? In my culture, I don't have a cis anything. That's your culture that you've decided to understand, be under the standard of. And if that's what you do, fine. I can comprehend it, but I don't understand it. Okay, watch this. What is the biggest attack on our community, culturally speaking? What is the thing that we keep saying we need this, we need this, we need this? Is men, male, masculinity. And masculinity in my culture is different than what you think masculinity is, because you think masculinity is toxic. In my culture, a masculine man is not toxic. See, in my culture, it is not masculine to abuse your child. It's not feminine either. It's evil. It's sin. You see the difference? Right? You're trying to take it and make it something it is not. In my culture, a man who doesn't take care of his family is less than an infidel, less than a non-believer. He's not feminine because he doesn't do so. He is sinful. He is a modified version of a man. Modified food causes sickness, right? A modified man is a sick man. He is not a woman. He is a sick man. Somebody not going to want to hear what I'm saying. A man who does not take care of his fiscal responsibilities, at least has never been trained to, then guess what? The one who should have trained him and did not is sinful. Because sin just means to miss the mark. Right? But a man, a masculine man at that, is not toxic. In your culture, a man is toxic because a man is supposed to be effeminate, because a real man is an attack on the environment, because you're supposed to have boys. That's why I apologized earlier when using that term, even though I was doing so just saying boy, oh boy, or something like that. But I still apologize because, see, in this system, you're supposed to be a little boy or you're supposed to be effeminate. That's it. That's why a lot of women are out here trying to be masculine, but they don't come off as men. They come off as little boys. But you're trained to be princesses. You're created to be princesses. You're created to be royalty. You're created to be an heiress to a throne that gives you everything the Messiah is going to have. A fellow heiress, a fellow heir. You have a question? Sure, shoot. That's Q&A today anyways, right? So in my culture, our woman or our heiress, our royalty, our divine sisters are treated different than yours are because of their divinity, because they are divine, because they belong to the Most High up. In my culture. So when I'm looking for, in my culture, I don't look for a woman to marry, because that's not even great enough to be married. She's supposed to be a wife who has been trained in what it is to be a mother, just as I am supposed to be a husband who is trained in what it is to be a father. And in my culture, she can have a job if she wants, she can have a business, but I also recognize that Yehovah, this is cultural point of view, he has never created a woman ever who wants to have a job. I didn't say she can't have a job. I didn't say she can't be Rihanna. I didn't say she can't be Beyonce. I didn't say she can't have many different things. I can't say that she can't be a great person and a CEO of a company. Hear what I'm saying? There is no woman that's ever been created that wants to have a job. Feminism tells you that you should have to have a job. Feminism tells you that the things that you desire, the things that you need, you should give up on. That you shouldn't have babies until you're 40 at the earliest. This is what they teach in feminism, because you need to make sure that there's more women in the workforce. And if you would dare have a baby and get married at an early age to a husband that's actually doing what he's supposed to do, right? Whether you have a job or not, how dare you make sure that you don't have more time to give to the workforce so that women would be able to go ahead and improve? But question for you, what does a 9 to 5 have to do with the improvement of anybody? You said you're a bad person. You're trying not to be abusive. Okay, well, I don't know what the question is. Are you saying you've been abusive in the past and you're trying to change? Right. You see what I'm saying? And if you can't quite talk about what you're talking about, maybe we can talk about it offline at some point. Right. Well, if you've been abusive, the word abuse means abnormally use, to abnormally use. And I don't know if you're saying you've been abusive with your tongue, you've been abusive with your fist, you've been abusive with your language, you've been abusive with your treatment of others. Then it's time to learn how to use something specifically. And really, to be honest, more than likely, you've probably been abnormally used or abused yourself. But there's a decision that can be made. Today can be the end. Right. But you see what I'm saying? We even abuse what a man is. What is a man? A man without a mission is a dangerous man. A man without a man without a mission, a man without a mission, a dangerous man. So if we have all these brothers out here, they haven't even been taught a mission. What is a mission? See, because watch this. Before a woman can be in submission, a man must be in submission. You said, wouldn't it be more prudent to put forward a righteous candidate? For what? To vote for? Okay, who's the righteous candidate? Who's going to make sure that everything that they do is only about Yahweh's will, and that's it? I'm not trying to I'm sorry if that came off. I'm kind of hyped up. So I'm sorry if that came off like I'm attacking you. I don't mean to attack. Right. You said instead of convince the sleeping man. Well, once again, if the whole thing is, if everybody woke up and they voted for Kamala, just question for you. Like, let's just go through the exercise, because that's what we're doing, the lesser of two evils. So let's just say it's better to vote for Kamala, or you're saying, fine, let's put somebody else into, like, who are we going to put in? And how are we going to achieve that? Who are we going to put in? Because, so we're talking about surpassing the Electoral College, right? We're talking about, because here's the deal. If we ever got to a place where we were truly awake, we would recognize that we've been asleep. That sounds weird. But hear what I'm saying? If we were to realize that if we got to a place where we're awake, then the vote puts you to sleep. No, definitely not Pastor Kofi for president. None of that. Never that. Right? Watch this. If you ever realized that who you were, you would realize that you could separate from the United States and stop working. If our diaspora alone stopped working for the United States corporation, the whole corporation goes down. Right? Seriously. If you were to take just the money that we generate, we make 9% of the world's money. That's what we represent. That's what your vote represents. But others don't vote because they realize that power means that they don't vote, they tell. You were from Mexico? Okay. Hola. ¿Cómo está? Gracias. Por lo siento, mi español es así, or muy pequeña. Well, thank you for being on. I'm having a moment right now. But that being said, bien, muy bien, gracias. So, and all that stuff. Where was I at? I'm sorry. I was speaking terrible Spanish for a second. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah. So let's just run this through. If we ever get to the point where we realize that we need a righteous candidate, then we would realize that the righteous candidate can't exist in this system. Right? We're talking about electoral college. We're talking about those who count the vote. We're talking about the lobbyist. We're talking about who gets to make the law. We're talking about that you still then have to vote and then hope that persons are going to not just vote on left versus right, and hope that they do it every time, or about 90 to 95% of the time. Come on, right? This country is not built off of that. And the person who is going to become the president is not the CEO. They are just the president. Now, it sounds like the president is all that, but the president is not in charge of the company. The president is the face. Right? The president is not in charge of the country. It's like this. I don't know how many of you guys have heard this. I'm sorry, Brother Craig. I haven't really gotten back to answering your question yet. I told you there's a can of worms with this, where we're headed today. I hope prayerfully we'll get back to it at some point. We still got a little time left. But there's a story that goes like this. Some of you might have heard it. Maybe you've never heard it. It's a great story. I don't know who originally came up with it. But watch this. Watch this, okay? There was a plantation during chattel slavery. And there was an issue going on because, as what happened with many different times throughout the story of mankind, and our story specifically, there were some of us that got tired of being treated like chattel. So we were no longer just listening to whatever our slave masters had to say. And the master of the plantation was frustrated by this. He goes and he hires someone else, right? The master of the plantation, he goes and he hires someone else and to go ahead and help him out. So this person comes in to help him out, try and make sure that the plantation is running. Amen, Sister Judy. So this person comes in to make sure that the plantation is still running, right? Or is running differently. All right. So he comes in and he comes in front of the slave master. Slave master has all the slaves come out. And so the person who is, let's just call him the assistant. I don't know. Let's call him, no. What would you call him? The consultant. Let's call him the consultant. This consultant comes in and says, he says, all right, I'll take the job, but this is what you're going to do. You're going to listen to everything I say. Whatever I say goes. The slave master has heard about his work in other plantations. He goes, okay, cool, no problem. Consultant starts his thing. He says, slave master, bring all your slaves out in front of me. Slaves come out. The master's next to the consultant. The consultant steps down a couple steps down from the slave master. He says, you know what? We've heard that you guys are upset about the way stuff is going on. We heard that you guys are frustrated. We heard that y'all want to go ahead and make sure that all this stuff is new and that the slave master, he gets in line with you and you feel like you should be treated like human beings. And and somebody says, yeah. Slave master says, get a little worried. He touches the consultant on the shoulder, says, what you doing? He says, you have to listen to everything I say, right? Hey, you guys are tired of all this stuff that's going on, right? You need a new system. You need a new way, right? You need new leadership. They go, there's a surprise, but they go, yeah. He says, all right, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and get you some new leadership. He's done being your slave master. And they go, everybody cheers. Slave master brings to the side. What the, bro? Like, I thought you. He says, hey, you got to listen to everything I say. Just trust me. I'm going to work it out. So what they do is they get the slave master's cousin to come in. And they say, all right, slave master Bill is finished, right? Slave master Bob's going to be your new leader. Everybody goes, yeah. Woo. Now, look, you're not free. You're still a slave. But they said, we're just going to bring a new one. It's a part of the same family, right? But we're just going to bring a new one in front of you. Everybody goes, woo, yeah. Now we got Bob. Bill is gone. Bill is gone. What he does is he tells Bob, the new slave master, the cousin, he says, go ahead and treat him the same way that Bill did. So he starts treating him the same way. And the slaves are just so happy that Bill's not over him anymore that they don't realize that they're doing the same stuff on the same plantation. All right. Now they keep on working, and eventually they kind of get irritated. They start coming amongst themselves. There's one of them that's working. Let's say his name is Junebug. And Junebug starts getting irritated. He starts talking to the other slaves like, Massa seemed to be doing the same stuff. Doesn't seem like things got better. I mean, Bill is gone, but Bob seemed to be nice and everything. But is Bob really doing anything different than Bill did? Somebody goes, well, Bob does smile more than Master Bill did. And they're like, yeah, I guess. And they keep working, but eventually there's some murmuring going on. The consultant comes back. The consultant brings Bill back behind him. Bill behind him. Bob, the new one, who's the cousin, on the other side. And the slaves are in front of him. He says, hey, I hear you guys got a problem with Bill, huh? or with Bob, huh? They go, well, yeah. And he says, well, do you guys like it when it was better under Bill? They go, I don't know. Yeah, I guess, because they just want to be from under. Now I realize that once again, you could be free at any time. You could just say enough is enough. You could just go ahead and take over, right? But the mindset is I got to belong to somebody. So he says, all right, we'll just put Bill back in charge. They go, well, yeah, at least Bob's gone. And they work under him again. And then eventually they have another problem. Now you got to have another meeting. So the consultant basically at one point, he just gets to a point where he says, now Bill and Bob are confused. They're like, what is he doing? Is the consultant going to fix this or not? The consultant goes, this is what we'll do. We'll let you guys vote. Who do you want to be in charge, Bill or Bob? He says, Bill, tell them what you stand for real quick. Bill says, well, under me, I'll make sure that you guys get another hour of sleep on Sundays. And they go, wow, really cool. We have one more hour of sleep. And then Bob says, well, I'll make sure that you guys have an opportunity to go ahead and drink, instead of having the pig guts, because that's what they call them back then. Now you call them chitlins. But he said, instead of having pig guts every day, one of the days of the week, I'll let you guys have, I'll let you guys split 10 pieces of chicken. Oh, wow. We get something besides pig guts. Oh, wow. Cool. And so eventually they vote. And to be honest, as far as the story is concerned, it doesn't matter who they voted in. Every 4 years, they would have a vote, and normally it would just go from one to the other to the other. Eventually, Junebug caught on, and Junebug speaks out. Let's say this went on for 8 years. You voted one in, then you voted the other out, then you were getting ready to vote the other one in. And Junebug steps up, and he says, this is wrong. The consultant says, what? He says, this is wrong. He says, we're still under the same master, under the same family. He says, this is wrong. We shouldn't be doing this, y'all. The consultant says, well, wait a minute. Didn't you want to have freedom? Or didn't you want to be free? And Junebug was like, yeah, you could have let us free. But the consultant says, well, yeah, but what's outside these gates? Do you know anything outside these gates? There's slave patrolmen that might kill you or might just bring you right back here. You don't know how others are on the other plantation. What have you seen about anything else? Well, I heard when you heard this, but what's really there? He said, but didn't we allow you to vote, boy? Haven't we let you drink juice? Didn't we let you eat some chicken every once in a while? Don't we provide a place for you to be able to stay? Don't we protect you from the outside sources you don't know? And as he's talking, the other persons around Junebug, the other slaves, they start getting upset, but not at the consultant, not at Bill, Master Bill, not at Master Bob. They get upset at Junebug. And you know what they begin to do? They begin to yell at him. And Junebug says, look, man, y'all, we're getting robbed. We're getting messed up. We're getting jacked up. They're basically graping us. You know what I really mean? But they're taking this stuff from us. They're making us nothing. They're telling us that it's okay for us to be nothing. And we could leave at any time. And they say, no. They say, no, you're the problem. And you know what they do? They take Junebug and they put him on a post themselves. Now, it used to be Massa would put you on the post to whip you. But now they want to uphold the system they're under. And they put Junebug on the pole because Junebug dared to run his mouth. How you doing, Minister Shalom? And now that Junebug ran his mouth, you put him on the pole. And you whip him in front of everybody. But now then when the slave whips him, this is when the consultant turns and he tips his cap. He's done. And Master Bill, he realizes that from that point on, it will be the slaves who will keep themselves in check. Willie Lynch syndrome. From that point on, he won't have to teach their children anything. They will teach their children to be part of a two-party system. That's only the same system. He will have, look, he will have one side talking about 2025. So vote to make sure that we don't become chattel slaves. On the other side, he'll say, vote so we can burn books. Now, somebody says, well, that sounds like a pretty big difference. But the one side that's saying burn books also says, well, we believe in husbands and wives. The other side says, forget this. We're going to go ahead and rip everything up and you better become LGBTQ plus. And you keep going back and forth. Both sides have evil. Both sides have supposed righteousness. But remember, a half truth is always a whole lie. A half evil or a half righteous person is always wholly evil. You said, so what if my job doesn't allow me to have a beard? Anybody know any labor law? I don't know about your job not allowing you to have a beard. Depends on the rules of the corporation. You also probably could get a no shave chit or something like that, or get something equivalent to that, to where if you have issues and it's actually a medical issue, you could have somebody say that you need to be allowed to not have marks and all that stuff up on your face, which is something that, medically they should allow you to do, right? You would just have to look for the rules and different things like that. Or if it's religious freedom, by the way, yeah, it could fall into that. If you can show religiously that you're supposed to have a beard, I mean, I don't know if I'd be able to help you out with something like that, because I guess unless we're just talking about you're going to make a promise to the Most High, but then you got to be sincere and follow through on it, But that means you have to let all your hair grow, because the scripture I'm going to find and the laws I'm going to find are going to be ones that say everything grows. So it depends on what you want to do, right? Or I guess if you try to do a Muslim way, you could do that, But I'm just saying, right? Like, do all that. That's what the voting is. It's one plantation, and it's two slave masters that really are just the same slave master. That's all we're really dealing with. You got one plantation, United States Corporation. Everybody on it is a slave because you're registered to the system. And anybody trying to get away and be private, they're trying to tell you, if you leave, what are you going to do for yourself? See, this is one of the reasons we got to rush this as fast as possible. We really only got like a 5 to 10 year window. And I'll be trying to tell the person don't believe me. Look, it's getting to a point to where, yeah, like, you need to be protected. You need to have something like that. But guess what? Okay, like, watch this. If you were to vote for Kamala Harris and yet everybody around you still, or if you were to vote for her and she were to get in, and yet you're still afraid to go certain places in your own neighborhood because there's racism, voting for her didn't change anything. It has to get to a place to where we're a nation. And we're so busy voting for leaders of another nation. You are in the United States Corporation. You are not of it. Israelites can have beard. They cannot have beard. It depends on what your branch of Israel is and what your promise to the Most High is. Israelites can shave in certain ways. Like, you don't have to have long hair and stuff like that. Like, that's a promise. And even if you make the promise, there's different versions of the long hair promise, But if you decide to, we can write something that, has a beard. But when you say, well, that's real simplification, sure. For me, it's very simple. Like, at the end of the day, I'm trying to make sure that I live in a neighborhood and I live on some land and that we can protect it ourselves. And if somebody comes trying to do something, they'd rather not come to us and see us, because they know that we got ourselves taken care of. That's ultimately where I'm trying to go. Others are trying to live in the United States of America full time and thinking that it's going to, a system that's literally built upon slavery is going to be able to stand. You're going to have to break it apart. For me, it is like, that's kingdom. I'm not trying to say that you're using common sense. I'm just saying, for me, that's kingdom sense. Like, you have a corporation literally built off of the black backs of slaves. The corporation cannot stand. Oh, okay. I'm sorry, Savannah. Okay. I apologize. Well, I'll finish the thought. I apologize. The corporation cannot stand without the slave. Right? And one person, you're right, cannot change racism. Racism is a system. So the system must be broken. So you're right. Not one person we would vote for could ever change slavery. or change the system. Once again, the system must be broken. I'm not trying to have somebody go in the system and be like, we're going to change the system. You don't change. Like, watch this. If somebody wants to change a watch, right? If somebody says, I'm going to make a new watch, then you have to make a new system, right? ISM on any word, we're talking about a system. If it's racism, then it's a system based off of competition. The competition has us on the bottom and others on top. Right. And the only reason why persons are freaking out is they're like, we're going to become chattel slaves. If you're in debt, you're a slave already. They're going to march on the streets. KKK is marching on the streets now. There's going to be misogyny. Are we always hearing about how it's toxic masculinity? I'm just trying to tell you, like, if you're talking, now I'm going to bring it back to my canon real quick. Biblically speaking, we're already supposed to be separated. Okay, thank you, Savannah. Appreciate it. I realize that. I'm just trying to be respectful, and I appreciate you. I know you do the same towards me, right? In my system, in the system I'm in, excuse me 1 second. I'm sorry. 1 second. I'll be right back. Like, give me like 15 seconds. All right. So in my system that I'm in, it is in the system that I'm in, it is guaranteed for us to put it this way. In my system, there's a king, period. And I'm just going like, and this is what I said, like, as far as we live for it, like we talk about for Elohim I live, for Elohim I die. Okay, this is like put up or shut up time for us. I don't have a president. Somebody goes, so you're going to say that if it affects the diaspora? I get it. How you doing, Noel? I get it. Like, it seems like I'm being a turncoat, but I also have made this very clear. I am not here to save every Black person in the United States. Far be it from me to pretend. And if somebody thought I was, like, let me take off the mask so you can see who I am. That's not what I'm here for. I'm here to ensure that Yah's will be done and that we build a nation and that those who choose, because it's free will. You can take a horse. You can, what is it that somebody posted on Facebook the other day? You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him think. You can't make him drink. Like, it's not my responsibility to force anybody across the drawbridge into sovereignty. I come into the world and I try to stand 10 toes down with those who are fellow believers and say, hey, there's a greater way than being part of the system. Many say, no, I can't see it. Since I can't see it, I'm going to keep voting for what I see. And I say, all right, you have every right to. And then I leave and I come right back. Right? When I go to sleep, I don't go to sleep in the world. How you doing, Cotton? No offense, right? But when I go to sleep, I don't sleep in the world. I sleep out of it. That's not my home. This world is not our home. It is not my desire to make sure, watch this, as bad as it's going to sound, it is not my desire to make sure that Georgia is greater than SOC Georgia. Because that's not my responsibility. You guys voted in who you need, who you said that you want to listen to. So you got to bow down to that person. I'm not part of that society, though. So when I come to Georgia and it's SOC, I'm trying to make sure I take care of them. And anybody who wants to be part of it, now look, doesn't mean that we can't put clothes together, we can't put packages, we can't knock on doors, we can't pray for persons, of course we can. But it's not my responsibility. My first responsibility is to those who are in the kingdom. And a lot of persons don't care, but see, it's family first. My first responsibility is to feed Solomon. I love all these babies out here. Y'all know I do. But my first responsibility is to feed him, not them. Once he's fed, then I'm supposed to make sure I take care of those. And I'll try my best. If I only got $20 and I got 20 children, I'll try to find a way to make sure that 20 children eat. If we all eating sandwiches and sandwich meat and some kind of dressing on it, I'll try to make sure that everybody going to eat. But my responsibility is to make sure that that one eats. Because y'all going to come to me and say, why didn't he eat? I gave you that son. right? So if everybody who comes on our Shabbat school is with Pastor Kofi one day, and all of a sudden everybody talking about we're hungry, and Pastor Kofi only got $20, all the children will eat. But I'm gonna be honest with you, it wouldn't make sense if all the children ate and then Solomon was the one left out. Even some of y'all would look at me like, right? I'm just saying. You see what I'm saying? And I would be okay if Solomon was with you and your child ate first. I would recognize that that's your responsibility. I wouldn't be upset at you. I get it, but you know what I'm saying, right? I see you, Bruto, but you know what I'm saying, right? Like, so it's a weirdness going on here that I don't think persons get. Now, this is where we got to get to the not all Israel is Israel, or even not all kinfolk is kinfolk. Let's say, because I told you what I think Kamala actually is, just because Indian persons don't want to say they're black doesn't mean that we aren't the same family. That being said, though, fine, they don't accept us, cool. But let's say she's a blackest of blackest. Let's say she's the most righteous woman. She's the most righteous human being to ever walk the face of this planet. All right, cool. We're going to vote for her. Now she's in, because she's the most righteous woman to ever walk the face of this planet, everything's going to change for the better, right? No. You know why? Because she's not even allowed to take care of us first. And now this is where I might sound racist or blah, blah, whatever. It is what it is. But I'm not part of the United States Corporation, so I can speak more freely than some can. I'm not trying to represent it. She's not allowed, even if she was the most righteous of Israelites, she is not allowed to take care of Israel. Even if she's a puppet, sure. But even if, let's say she wasn't a puppet, you know, the way the system is set up, she is not allowed to take care of us first or us only. She's allowed with Joe Biden to make sure she takes care of Asians first. Stop Asian hate. That's allowed. But in this system that's based off of chattel slavery, she could never take care of her. Obama told y'all that he wasn't going to take care of us. He said he was not going to have anything that took care of black persons first. He told you. I'm not even trying to manipulate something he said or trying to say. I'm telling you, he literally said, I'm not the black president. I'm not the white president. I'm the president. What was he saying? I can't take care of y'all. He even told the persons in Mexico, he said, I'm not going to take care of Border Patrol. He said, until the very end of my presidency. And what did he do? Well, he had more persons going through all that stuff on the border than Trump did, even though Trump could care less about the border. That's why. But I'm not saying Trump is better than Obama. I'm just trying to tell you, he had more stuff. He had more drones, more wars, more blood on his hand than any of these other cats, but y'all didn't care because he was black. But let's say he really wanted to do righteousness. He can't if he's not allowed, because of majority party, at least at the time, was what, Republican. And they literally said, because he's getting voted in, they will not allow. They said that. So you got to comprehend, we're doing this weird thing where we're acting like if we vote in a president, and even if everybody wants to work their best, we're going to do it within the confines of this system. We will never become what we're supposed to become until this system is destroyed. Or you become private enough to be absent of the system when you choose to be. Right? And by the way, I don't focus on just the United States of America either, because as Brother TJ just said, right, the diaspora of Israel is global, or is not even global, sorry, it's worldwide. So Negroes are rolled deeper than the United States. So Kamala is not going to take care of all of us anyways. So if you want to say, am I called to be a blessing and help others around the world? Well, yeah. But I'm specific. I'm not called. So now watch this. If you feel your lane, now watch this. This is where I feel like there could be agreement on this. However, if you feel like it's your lane to where you're going to change things from within the system, then maybe we can work together. But I'm not called to be in the system. I'm called to be out of it. And if I'm in it, I'm not supposed to be of it. I'm always supposed to be the irritant. Right? I'm always supposed to be the irritant. to their vision. I'm always supposed to be the thing that's caustic, that's around their face, and is always reminding them, what is Kofi again? Right? Did anybody lose audio on TikTok? Right? Are you hearing what I'm saying, beloved? Like that's my okay, never mind. That's my responsibility, right? Is to be an irritant to the world. Not because I even focus on it, it's because I'm going to be it no matter what. I'm not supposed to be in the world. You hear what I'm saying? I'm not supposed to be in the world. I'm not supposed to be in their system. I'm not supposed to make sense. And it's not supposed to make sense for them to take care of us. The whole system, not just, see, watch this. When I'm talking about the system, we're only, we got to be careful. Once again, they're getting you to focus on two slave masters, forgetting that the plantation is just one place and there are other places that we could be. But they're trying to lie to us and say nothing else matters outside the plantation. Remember the story we just went over? They're trying to lie to us and tell us that there's nothing going outside. Do you not recognize that we have brothers and sisters in the Caribbean right now that are ready to roll deep too? Do you not realize that we got cats over in Negro land and in Guinea that are ready to roll deep? Do you not realize that we got brothers and sisters who are so into this stuff that they are ready to try and get as much of this stuff and be ready to come over from the UK and Australia and Scotland right now? Like, this thing is greater than just the United States corporation, right? There are persons who are trying to make sure that when we get stuff together, there are persons that can't wait for us to not only get this land and develop this one that we're doing, rather, but to get land in other places in the world so that they can take care of that and we can keep growing and that families can be initiated. And when stuff really goes down, we'll have places we can go to be separate from this stuff. I don't know if it'd be Yah's will that, we were seeing stuff in other countries to where, persons are starting to abandon stuff. Now, look, because you got to have the money and stuff to put into at least getting it back on standard and stuff. But we were seeing homes where persons are selling homes for like $3,000. I took that as a sign, like it might be time for us to start looking. Now, look, I have been called to help from this perspective or from this physical point of view in the United States corporation. But I don't take it lightly that the doors are opening for us to start going. Do you not know we have SOC members that are ready for us to start going into Central Africa and other places? And they're like, hey, shoot, we pretty much got this stuff together. And when y'all are ready, we're going to have to get some stuff together, but we'd love to help and love to have y'all come by. And maybe we can do, I don't think persons realize, it's almost time to pull the trigger. Now, look, time is relative, but in the next 5 to 10 years, I keep saying 5 to 10 years. I don't know what it is about these 5 to 10 years, but next 5 to 10 years, we're going to have to be ready for something. It's very clear. It's not going to be the same. And so a vote ain't going to change that for anybody because the system must be broken. But when the system breaks, there's only two things that can happen. We're supposed to be prepared for both. Now, this is the part, I apologize, Brother Craig. We might not get to it. If we don't, I promise you, I'll start with it tomorrow. I promise you. It'll be the first thing we do tomorrow. I promise you. I'm sorry. We might not get to the question. And I know somebody else had a question over here too. Please forgive me. We might not get to them today. You might have to remind me tomorrow. But there's only going to be two options that's going to happen, that we need to be ready for. One, we don't know when it's going to happen, which is Yahushua is going to come back from the cloud. When that happens, we don't know, but we know we're supposed to spread the truth. And once the truth is spread, then he's coming back, right? So if we don't know when that's going to happen, though, or what's going to be the qualification he's looking for, we're just going to keep giving the word and doing our part, being interdependent, right? That part being said, then the only other option that's going to happen is this system is going to break. Now, watch this. When it breaks, so it's going to be broken because Yahushua breaks it. And then if that's the case, we just need to make sure that we've been righteous so that when he breaks it, we protect it. I'm sorry. What was it? You had a first question posted. Okay. I'm sorry. I might've missed that one too. I'm sorry. Or I guess I did miss it. Where am I? Oh yeah. But then the other part that we need to be prepared for, if the system breaks and Yahushua has not come back yet, then what do we need to do? We need to be separate. Oh, no problem, Brother Raj. I'm just trying to recall. I'm very linear. I'd be missing my points. It's a blessing and a curse. Okay, so then I had to make sure that then I'm also prepared for if the system breaks, am I able to protect myself from a broken system? Because if the system breaks, that means that cats are going to be looking for whomever, wherever, right? I don't think persons catch that. When the system breaks, thank you, Sister Kimberly. When the system breaks, that means that it's game on. So if your Hashra has not come back, guess what we need to be ready for? Because it's going to be time. The time for play over. At that point, y'all in Texas, come on. Y'all in Cali, come on, right? It might be on some purge stuff. I don't know. It might be everybody's doing whatever, but somebody's going to try to take over. There's going to be power vacuums. So I know you can't imagine this, but what if the United States of America, what if there's the country of Florida all of a sudden, and the country of Texas, and Oklahoma and Missouri have become a country, and Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, they all become a country. What if Maine becomes its own country and a bunch of persons move over there and now it's got some power? What about those who are in the United States military and now they're going to try to figure out who's going to keep what? And so they're going to be fighting. You see what I'm saying? We're going to have to come to a place to where we're prepared for that. If the system breaks, that's the only thing that's going to happen to change things is when the system breaks. When the system breaks, are we going to be what Revelation 12 says, which we're already separated and we're prepared to be separated? And am I saying, are we prepared to have to fight everybody? No, we can protect ourselves. But watch this. We can find places to where nobody can get to easily or that nobody even wants a part of. We can do that. We can separate pretty easily and find places to make sure that we're all together. And could you imagine all of Israel? I mean, that's my heart's desire. It might not be. But could you imagine, even if, let's say, it's 500 families? Could you imagine 500 families, strong, men ready to fight, sisters doing what they got to do, children being prepared? Ain't nobody messing with us first. Give yourself some time. Ain't nobody coming towards that. And we say, look, we're not even in your stuff. Just let us be. Right? I'm not trying to scare persons because that's what the government is doing. I'm just trying to tell you the truth. Right? Both sides. The Republicans is trying to scare you. And if you don't believe them, then guess what? The whole country's going to fall apart. Well, if you do with the Republicans, you're all going to become chattel slaves. No, I'm trying to tell you that the word says that what we see clearly happening is going to happen. It's just been saying the same thing. Separate yourself. Become a family. Become united. Right? Give your all to something outside. Don't watch this. Stop having a plan B. You ain't gonna be able to show up to SOC territory because that's what it's gonna be. It's gonna be kingdom territory, really, right? Israel territory. You can't come on the land and have a plan B. And I'm not trying to say you can't leave this and that, but hear what I'm saying, right? If we're gonna do this properly, that means if we're gonna have land, we're gonna eat food off the land. That means we got to be dedicated to it. This is why we're trying to get persons in this stuff now, right? Support your brother who's making clothes now. That same brother that makes clothes, when we come together, that's our clothing. Support your sister who makes food now. That sister who makes food, that becomes our food. Support that person who helps out with the babies. That person who helps out with the babies now becomes the kindergarten teacher or whatever, or just the school teacher, or the school ma'am, if you will, the marm, man, what they used to call it, whatever, right? Support the person that makes the shea butter now because they become the person who takes care of your skin later. Support the person who helped you to learn how to make raw food now because they become the person to help you to have raw food later. You see what I'm saying? Have a community now and get used to meeting with each other now and get used to being on the phone with each other now because when it happens, it's too late, right? Where's the cloth? Where's the cloud? Where's the preparation? Why is it that we sound like everybody else? You know, that's my name, actually, Alvin, in Paleo Hebrew is Quadai, which literally means that I am prepared to be nailed in place. And so the countenance of my people might change. That's my name. That's what it actually means. A lot of people can't say it, but that's my name, actually. Avra is Quadai. Quadai. literally meaning that I am prepared. I've cut things off to make sure that I'm nailed in place, or you can say I'm even cut off from certain things because the Messiah was nailed in place for me, and now my countenance has changed. However you want to look at those three characters, but that's my name, and I'm dedicated. I'm all in. I don't have a backup plan, and that's scary for some. And let it be. But I tell you guys the truth. I don't have a back. I don't. If this doesn't work, if y'all's word doesn't work, I don't know what will. I'm just being honest with you. If Yahweh's word doesn't work, now look, I haven't said y'all better give 100% of your profit to SOC, or you better make sure that you're giving 80% of what you need, or everybody should give, blah, blah. No, because everybody going to give what they feel led to give, and some persons are just going to give whatever they feel like they have left over. Some of you, and you know who you are. And by the way, I'm not trying to make anybody feel bad. I'm not trying to shame anybody. I'm just trying to tell you, look, I'm all in. I don't know how to do it any different. Right? My life consists of my family and SOC. And SOC is my extended family. I really don't have, it sounds bad. It might sound sad to some. I don't have relationships. I wish I did. I don't really have relationships with my blood family like that. I wish I did. I'm not even joking. I really wish I did. I'm not trying to say, I'm just telling you, the way Yah has this thing set up, at least in this season, is it's him, it's Amma, it's Solomon, it's y'all, it's me. I don't even know if that's a righteous order. I'm just telling you. And that's my life. My work is for him and for you. I don't have any other work. Amma better be happy. Solomon better be nurtured. Y'all better get what y'all need. And then hopefully I get some on the back end. That's my life. I don't even know. I hope that's righteous. I'm just telling you that it is what it is. So when somebody's talking to me about it, I must confess, maybe I am the wrong person to talk to because I don't know about a backup plan. I don't know how to be like, we're going to be about what Yah says, and then we're going to try to sneak somebody else into government at the same time. And then we're going to try to, I don't know how that works. I'm just being honest. If I end up failing, then I'm going to fail Yah first, or at least what I believe his word says based off of what I've studied and what I've been given. That's all I got for y'all. And I'm sorry if I'm just going to be honest. I'm not sorry because I really have faith that these works are going to get us what we want. But I'm just being honest with you. If you follow me, it's going to be following as I follow Christ. And therefore, the only way this is not going to work is if Christ ain't real. And I just believe he's real. I'm sorry, Brother Craig. I told you, I don't know why I felt like a can of worms was being open. I feel like we touched the top of what you said. You're going to have to remind me tomorrow. We'll try and do and I know Brother Rod said you got a question, and I know somebody else had a question that I missed. So y'all have to remind me tomorrow. Maybe we'll start off with you guys tomorrow and then try to get back into some rainbow stuff. But yeah, so Brother Craig, please remind me, when we start tomorrow, get on the live and make sure that we get your question first. And then I can't remember who it was, Brother Roger and somebody else on YouTube. Who was it? It was who was it? Into the Deep. But I'm just being honest with you. I don't know how to give you anything up. My life consists literally of of my family and his word and Yahweh's word. That's all I got. That's all I got for you. I was telling y'all this the other day. I wasn't trying to be trying to make y'all cry tears for me and all this stuff. I feel like don't cry for me, Argentina, right? But I wasn't trying to get y'all to cry tears for me and stuff the other day. I was being honest with y'all when I said, as a father, as a husband, I think I realized I don't really have any, as long as my family's needs are taken care of, I really don't trip. So for others, there's going to be a point where it's going to be really difficult for some, and especially in this. And I know Trump came back, which means that a lot of, tiki torture mentality, a lot of alt-right stuff, a lot of KKK stuff, a lot of misogyny, a lot of borderline, if not outright rapist type stuff. I know a lot of that stuff is coming back, and it's going to make a lot of you frustrated with some of the stuff that I'm saying. We're going to have disagreements, and I pray that even if we have disagreements, we still can be brothers and sisters, and I will still be dedicated towards helping you as best I can. don't get it twisted. Just because we might disagree on something doesn't mean that I'm against you. Okay. But I have to be for the word first. And I'm just telling you, if you're going to ask me anything or ask me to be involved or ask me to try and promote anything or ask me, it's got to be kingdom. Because that's all I can give you. Like I have no other seconds. Literally. I have no other seconds in my life that I can give to anything besides his word and my family. Like I have, and you guys are my extended family. You guys are my family. I have no seconds. Like literally, if you look at my days, I literally have no seconds outside of that. And I would have it no other way, right? Every once in a while I have to get rest. But outside of that, I have no, even persons that are friendly or neighbors that we're taking care of, we're helping out and all this stuff, whatever that we've been doing and working hard for each other and all this stuff. Like everything I do is dedicated to Yah, Yechashvai, Hakodash, Amma, Solomon, family, which includes SOC, which includes Israel. And then after that, every once in a while, rest up so you can make sure you can take care of those things. I don't know anything else. So when somebody's asking me, that's why I said like the opinion thing, I can't give you an opinion. If I gave you an opinion, I'd have to be like the world. And that's one of the dangerous things about voting too, because really you're just voting on opinions. And Yahweh says that I live in the truth. So if you're asking me about certain things, like I have to be honest. If Kamala has locked up Black women and had no problem doing so, if Kamala has said straight up she's not going to do anything for the Black community, if Kamala has said, or at least not only for the Black community, but she can do it for others only. All right, let me be very careful with that. If Kamala has made it a point to have all types of pictures with her family and her husband's family, who are definitely not Black, but make sure that all the servants are there and does those pictures. Those are purposeful pictures, by the way, to make sure she was voted into certain positions. That's like her headshots. When persons go to act and they get a headshot done, so that persons will think that they can act well, or the comedian gets headshots done, so you look at them and you go, oh, that person looks funny, or they look attractive, or whatever they're trying to get out of it. So I can't give you anything else outside of that. I'm just gonna be honest. So if that means that we're going to be at it for a few months, I pray this only for a few months, if not permanently, because I could see as soon as I started just being truthful and honest about stuff that we kind of lost a few of us. But I get it, but at this moment in this season, especially now, why go back into the world? I'm just saying, why go back into the world? You made it all this time. You finally realized that it's a joke. You finally realized it's a trick. And now all they're going to do is all they did, literally, they brought Trump back a second time. And when they brought Trump back the first time, all they did was bring back Reagan. Reagan literally ran on Make America Great Again. Right? And even Bush was just Reagan. Because it was Reagan, then Bush, H.W. Bush, right? George H.W. Bush, all he was Reagan's vice president. He can hold a candle to Reagan for him now. And he decided not to go full out and take over Afghanistan take over Iraq, like what happened. So then all of a sudden, Clinton comes in. They're like, we got to come against him. So what do? They put another Bush in, which is nothing more than putting another Reagan in. So now they bring in Bush's son, and Bush comes in. And what is he? He's just Reagan again. Right? Then when they brought Obama in, by the way, I know some of us Black folk and some of us Israelite folk and some of us Democrat folk out here who are listening to me aren't going to want to hear this, right? But Obama had more in common with Reagan than he did with Clinton. Look at their policies. Obama used to quote Reagan a lot. Now you can say he was trying to pull the parties together and stuff, but Obama did more stuff like Reagan did than he did like Clinton did. Y'all supposed first Black president. Arsenio Hall was telling you he's the first Black president. He was playing saxophone on there and all that. Y'all remember, right? But then after that, what happens, right? But he was too Black. He had too much stuff. He had too much flavor sometimes. Of course, I know what the Electoral College is, which is why your vote doesn't really mean anything at the end of the day anyways, right? Right? especially its original reasoning for it, right? Especially if we look at the persons that created and put it together, and those who were even presidents that helped put it together before they became president, told you what it's for. But nevertheless, right? And then after that, you have what? Right? And then after that, you have who comes up next? Trump. Trump ain't nothing but Reagan light. What was Reagan? Reagan was a celebrity, right? Not an A-list celebrity, but he was a celebrity who had some funds. He wasn't quite Trump, but he had some funds. And he was somebody who was working towards doing something. He was a governor of California, kind of like they had Arnold Schwarzenegger. They were trying to have him kind of go through a similar thing. And they were trying to figure out a way by law to get stuff to pass. Arnold was cheating on his wife and doing all types of stuff. Ronald Reagan, his wife we already talked about it. She was all over the place with different men. Ronald Reagan was doing different things with different girls. Ronald Reagan was out here saying some really racist stuff with Nixon. As a matter of fact, if you look it up on YouTube, you'll discover that you'll see Ronald Reagan is on there with if you look up Ronald Reagan, if you look up Reagan Nixon racist comments or something like that, you will hear a recording in which is a phone conversation in which Reagan is saying that black folk are folks that are so poor and so old and so destitute and ancient and they're stupid, they deserve to be slaves and they have no shoes and all this stuff and they're just monkeys. And Richard Nixon is laughing as Ronald Reagan is going in on black folk, right? This is who Ronald Reagan was. In 1980, he ran. How you doing, Sister Nadine? Ronald Reagan ran on Make America Great Again. Back then, that was the same thing he ran on, Make America Great Again. Now all of a sudden you get to 2000 and whatever it was it 2016? What is Trump run on? Almost 40 years later. 40 would be a generation. You got to give him 36 years. Right, but then he finishes and completes his stuff 40 years later. So basically, within a generation later, you put up Reagan Jr. Right, and then Joe Biden, who was on their side until it was time for him to run for president. Don't forget, he was a super predator guy. Right, don't forget his mentor, who he buried and he spoke at his funeral, was the person in the 60s he was under who was a racist, a KKK member who RFK actually put out a place and made him look bad in front of everybody because he was so openly racist that it was easy for RFK to make himself look like he wasn't racist. That's who Joe Biden was. You're having the same dialogue with the same persons, the same family members married into each other. And then somebody's out here talking about, we got to make sure that we get out here and vote. Vote for who? Do you not realize your vote doesn't matter? Either way, they got this thing hemmed up that just in case their system unravels a little bit and they can't force who they want to be president, it's going to be the same rhetoric. If you remember, if Hillary Clinton had won instead of Donald Trump, some of y'all thinking this thing is going to be totally different. If Hillary Clinton had won instead of Donald Trump, guess what was about to happen? There was going to be a feminist, huge speech and gathering and Me Too movement. If she had won, that's what was going to happen. Doesn't that sound familiar though? Because Donald Trump won. And wasn't there a huge feminist thing on a national mall? A huge thing where Johnny Depp's ex-wife, accused him of being the one that was abusing her and all that stuff. Y'all remember that? Amber Heard. And y'all remember that there was a huge Me Too movement? Oh yeah, because it doesn't matter who was in. It was going to be the same thing. Hillary Clinton, who was so non-racist that she was telling you that you should vote for her as a black society because she carried hot sauce in her purse. Oh, don't forget, this is the same Hillary Clinton that worked for a company that Coretta Scott King, yes, the wife of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., the same wife as his, said that if anybody supports this company, you're supporting racism. Hillary Clinton was a lawyer who was already signing up a contract to get ready to become the first lady with Bill Clinton. And as a lawyer, she was working for this company. We keep acting like the vote is going to change something. The same will. It's been in order. It's not if the Republicans get in, the Democrats are. They're trying to get you to focus on who's going to give you the evil. You're voting for the lesser of two evils, but they're still connected to the evil. It doesn't matter who gets voted in. Al Gore was running for president. Al Gore has a whole lot in common with what's his face? The way he treats businesses and stuff. What's his face? Who was the guy that was running for the Republican Party against Obama Mitt Romney. I actually got respect for John McCain. John McCain outright told you what it was, but also he had some honor about him. I think John McCain's actually a decent human being, even if we don't agree on a lot of stuff. I'll give John McCain credit. He seemed to be a decent human being, right? But Mitt Romney and Al Gore act just about the same. So what I'm saying is if you're voting for evil, realize that evil is still the goal. If you're going to be in righteousness, there is no vote for righteousness. This is the game. There's right lawful standing is always right lawful standing. It doesn't change. It's not going to change tomorrow. It's not going to change the day after that. If it's righteous, we don't vote on it. It is what it is. All right. I know. Don't hit me with it. Don't hit me with some new math stuff. Just hit me with the basic math. 1 + 1 = 2. Let's vote on it. No, hold up. Right? You see what I'm saying? Aleph, Bet, next is Gamon. Let's vote on it. No. It is what it is. This is A, this is B, this is C. Let's vote on it. No. This is C. It doesn't change because you want it to be different today. C is C. It's a character. Tav is Tav. It's a character. 2 is 2. It's a character. It does not change. That's why it has character, because it does not change. Certain things do not change. If it's righteous, it does not change. If it's evil, you can vote on it. You see the difference? If it's righteous, it never changes. If your canon is Quran and your prophet is Muhammad, right? Blessed be he. That all praises be to Allah for he. If that's who he is for you, then that doesn't change. We don't vote on that. We don't get to come into your culture and say, let's vote on it. Right? If we try to vote on it, then something's up. Because you believe that to be the what? The truth. Truth is truth. We can try to put up whatever we want. At the end of the day, it is what it is. If I'm voting for the lesser of two evils, then evil is evil. And if the system is evil, even if I put a righteous person in it, you can put it's okay. You know how everybody used to say ACAB, all cops are bad, right? Y'all remember that was a thing for a while? Some persons still put that up there. They weren't saying that we weren't, and I even put it up a couple times. I was not ever literally saying that a cop cannot be a great person. Seriously. Now that sounds like cognitive dissonance, being double-minded. I never was saying all cops have no ability to be great persons, great fathers, great husbands, whatever. What I was making it a point to say was all cops are bad due to the fact that if you are a cop, all cops are bad because due to the fact that if you are a cop, you must participate in a wicked system. Look, I was a military police officer. All right? I was a cop for part of my experience on this earth. And I promise you there are things that were done, right, that I know were not righteous, but they were by the book. I had to repent of those things. I had to forgive myself of those things. I had to forgive others of those things. I never did anything where life was taken or anything that was like crazy, like we made somebody look like they had something they didn't, whatever. I never did anything like that. But I do recognize that as a cop, you have to do things by the book to stay in that system. If you're going to be a cop for 20 years, you're going to have to do unrighteous things from time to time over a 20-year period. You can try to change that up. You can try and say, we'll just put a lot of great persons in the system. All right, watch this. There's a plea, and this is the last thing. I know we got to finish. We'll start back up with Q&A tomorrow. Brother Craig, please remind me of the question tomorrow. Brother Raj, please remind me. And I'm sorry, I forget who the other person was. Into the Deep, if y'all don't mind. Look, Does a police officer work for the people? Because you think you're the people. You're not really, but let's just do this pretend game where you're actually the people that, you know, the Constitution's talking about. Okay. Do police officers work for the people? I got one nope. Thank you for the love. See it. They don't work for the people. You know how I know? Because they have to do the same. They have to swear in same way that the president does, vice president does, your governors do, your cabinet members do, your congresspersons do, your police officers do, your military personnel do. We all have to say the same thing at the beginning of signing in or swearing in. How you doing, Kirsten? How you doing, Tashima? We had the same beginning. You ready? You say I. So state your name, promise, right, or swear even to support and defend the Constitution of the United States. That's the corporation. They don't say United States of America. They say the United States against all enemies. Now, which enemies are they? Both foreign. That means if you're not considered to be one of us, or even domestic, even if you're considered to be us, right? Now, who is my boss? My boss is not you. They lie to you. I'm a veteran, and I will tell you, I was never paid. I thought I was going to do that when I first came in. 17-year-old didn't know any better, right? Wet behind the ears, breath smelling like Similac, as Stephen A. Smith would say, right? I thought that's what I was doing. But the reality is I don't work for the people. I work for whoever's in charge. Who's the commander in chief? Technically, I don't work for him first. I'm not fighting for you. I'm fighting for the United States corporation. That's what I signed up for. I didn't realize that at the time. And there are many persons who get out and never check that. They never see. But that's who you swore an oath to protect, not the people. You swore an oath to protect the corporation. If the corporation wants something evil done, that's what you signed up for. I was so glad when I got out and I never really had to do anything in my little, because after you do your active service, you have to be like, depending on what kind of contract you sign, you do like 2 to 4 years, maybe even 6 years of what is it? You being able to be called back into service, but you're on the reserves. And I'm so glad I never had to really do much of anything, because as soon as I got out, I was like, I never want to go back into that. Never. That was I hoped and prayed. Never do I want to go back into any of that stuff. Right? Almost had to make decisions when you out in war. You had to sometimes think, should I take the life of a child? Because the child could be, compromised. No, I never want to have to go into something like that again, where I have to make an evil decision in order to get a medal or something. Or evil decision so I can make sure that I go home to my family. I'd rather just go home to my family and not have to worry about the evil decision. Know what I mean? Anyways, though, I've talked enough. Thank you. We're going to do our shout out. Appreciate y'all. Hopefully we got something out of today. Great Q&A today. I know I didn't get to everything. Tomorrow, those who didn't get a chance, y'all go ahead and answer. Y'all who've been with us for a minute, you know how Q&A works. I apologize. We weren't able to get over the clapper today. Just had a lot of, couldn't find a lot of stuff I needed to get started today. So it is what it is, but we made it work. Thank you all. We appreciate you. If you've never done a shout out with us before, if you want to come over to TikTok and do one with us, feel free. If you've never done one with us before, just pay attention. You'll see how it works pretty soon. We thank everybody for being on. We appreciate you. And we'll talk to you guys soon. Thank you again. We have our early Rise of Bible study session tomorrow. For those who we have your information, so you should be getting a word from on high tomorrow. I believe we have, what is tomorrow, the 29th? So I believe it'll be Minister Tamara. I'll double check on that. And hopefully we'll hear from you guys then. Thank you all for being on. Check out Patreon throughout the time when you get a chance. And as always, it's been Pastor Kofi, Pastor Servant of Christ, where we are always changing lives one mind at a time, but being a voice of the voices and speaking the unspoken. We give our honor to the Most High. We give our praise and honor to Him for my wife, the Honorable Amma, who lives a life that's able to be honored. You can always check her out on TikTok, YouTube, or website, and Pinterest at Bloom and Flourish. Not A-N-D, the letter N. Bloom and Flourish. She is a healer, herbalist, chemist, and biologist by degree. And remember, as always, your hustle that you are loved, you're necessary, you're majestic, you're fearfully, wonderfully made, and you, which is all of us working together, will be the reason why people who are in the system no longer have to be of it. Shalom, peace, family. Take care, and prayerfully, we will talk to you all soon. Thank you again so much, and we honor you, and we hope you guys have a great Sunday. All right, or a great Yam Alav, or a great Hashan. All right, talk to you guys soon. Peace. Take care.